Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over. Instantly.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover, which exists at the request of Matt McMaster.
What, you don't want it to exist?
Well, I mean, you were saying, hey, pick it up. And then we're like, well, we could just, let you talk on the air all you want. And then you were like, no.
I like talking to you guys. You guys are my friends.
That is true. I like talking to you too.
Yeah. This is some people's favorite segment is when we have these crossovers because it's a very unique moment in radio. I learn a lot through these things with you three grown men. I'm evolving.
You're a grown man.
You're always evolving. That's what I like about you.
I think I'm a man. I wouldn't put grown in front of it yet.
You don't think you're all the way grown?
I still think
I don't
I'm
think you got
growing.
any more inches left on that 5'9" frame?
5'10.5".
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess take it from us. You could get bigger.
I could get bigger. I've gotten a little, got a little skinnier recently. I lost a little bit of weight, been walking more.
You always say that.
I've been walking more. I also stopped drinking beer. I don't drink beer. I haven't drink beer.
No way.
I swear to you.
Up.
I've had
I
6.
stopped drinking
Was it 3
beer.
weeks ago you did the 222?
That was the last. I went like 10 days without having a beer, and then I think I've had like 7 beers in the last 3 weeks.
So you didn't stop drinking beer.
But
Your relationship with words.
It's just like in comparison
So
to how many beers I used to drink, I basically stopped drinking beer.
It's like
You
you're
know?
like, okay, this,
in
this
comparison,
word means this, but I'm gonna
in a
magnify
3-week
it.
time, in a 3-week period on regular, I would have a lot of beers. Where now only having like 6, that's like not drinking beer for me.
You have cut down on your beer.
I've stopped drinking beer.
Okay. There's people that modify, you mattify.
Mattify,
When
yeah.
you mattify something, you're taking a word that means this, but you're going to put it in a context that fits for you.
Yes, 1,000,000%. You're understanding it now.
It is so infuriating.
What have your seltzers intakes gone up?
Yeah,
yeah.
that amongst other things, the tequila intake probably a little bit higher than usual.
Unbelievable.
I didn't say I stopped drinking. I just said I stopped drinking beer. There's a difference.
Heavily.
You didn't even stop drinking the beer. There's a difference between
There's
word
only
stop
6 of them.
and drinking less.
I'm only at 6. I've stopped drinking beer.
Bayhon says
I'm
poll
done.
question is 7-0.
7, yeah, it may as well be.
Good Lord.
7 might as well be 0 beers. I've had.
Nebraska won 0 games the last 2 years.
Whoa, well, don't say that. Don't say that. People will get upset
They won
about that.
7, the same amount of beers you've drank.
It's in 3 weeks. I've had none. I've had no beers.
Grecky says, I stopped working. Oh, wait, I just took the day off.
Well, I mean, when Josh Peterson took 7 days off, that might as well be he stopped working.
He did not go to work for a 13-day period.
Good for him,
whatever
man.
it was.
God,
It's a lot of days.
so many days. I was so
Very
jealous.
jealous.
He
So
almost
jealous.
filled them all too.
What do you mean?
Well, there's that one day he didn't get a fill-in.
Yeah. Well, no, Nick was there though. That counts.
It does.
That counts. That counts. Nick was there.
You did, okay, so this is a question.
Question
The
for
way
you.
that Happer and I do this is that the person that's going to be here is the one that gets the fill in, not the person that's going to be gone.
Accountability.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it in the afternoon. That's a good question.
I when I was in the morning show, if I was going to be gone, I had to get the fill-in.
But what if the person that is left doesn't like that person?
That was never a problem. That was never an issue.
Interesting.
It was
I
kind
don't
of.
know that it would be for
I
us,
kinda
but
had
I would
it.
never. I don't feel like it's Connor's job to get the person to replace him. It's my job to find someone dumb enough to do radio
Now,
with me at 6 in the morning.
Thinking about it now too.
Yeah, because when you
when-
reach out to the person, you're saying, would you like to do a show with me?
Can I be honest?
Instead of would you like to do
Now,
a show
one
with
person I
another
reached out
person?
to was like, so wait, which one am I doing the show with?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you'd be doing it with me. Connor's gone. He's like, oh, I thought you were asking on behalf of you.
I think
The first time I'd ever thought of it in that sense.
thinking about it now, I filled it both ways when I was gone and
That makes
Gary was gone. But there was, I would say it was 80-20 because there was a couple of times, more often than not, you would get the call. Like, from both of us.
Well,
if that were
I mean,
to be the case.
Once I moved here,
So I think
was
it's different.
readily available to do.
Yeah.
Morning show driving over from Lincoln is a lot harder.
I think it's different depending on the person. It was just it's just a team collaboration dependent.
You're right. I don't really care either way.
Yeah, I didn't really care either
But it
at the
is-
time. It didn't matter to me.
The
I feel
awkward-
like the onus is on the person who's still here to get someone to do radio.
I'm not as definitive as you are, but I do appreciate that there is like an awkwardness of reaching out and saying, "Hey, would you like to fill in for me? You'll be doing the show with some other guy." That's kind of odd.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
when you reach out to the person, at least when you're finding a fill in for your co-host, you're saying, "Do you want to do the show with me?"
Yeah.
Right? Like
Sure.
there's an
There was-
expectation.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think mine was a unique scenario where it's like everyone was willing to fill in for me and work with Gary, and Gary was willing to work with anybody, like for the day or for the
I'm
week,
sure
you
that
know.
would be the case with
So
us,
it was
too.
just like, yeah, it was just, I don't know. It's so much different now for me because it's just like I have to
Or maybe you have
find
a
somebody now.
Maybe you have a specific thing for like a topic that you wanted to get to. Or maybe you're not interested in prepping a show very much and you have Michael.
That's a good. So that was when I would get Schaefer. The prep for Schaefer would be way less dependent on who else I would host with. Like, because I would, like, I Bigelow filled in one time with me in the morning show, and Jacob doesn't regularly do radio, and so the prep for that was like a lot. Like, I had to make sure like we were ready to go, like just because Jacob didn't really do radio. Where it was with you.
But Jacob does takes.
Jacob does do take. It was actually a really good show we did together. With you, it was like I would send you a bunch of stuff, and you would literally respond back to, "We are not going to get to all of this. Like we aren't going to."
You once sent me. It was like probably the second time that I'd ever filled in with you. The first being when we got in the famous Mahomes Hurts.
The very famous, so famous.
People love that segment, but
I
so
don't. I look terrible in that segment.
You sent probably. It felt like 15 topics, and you had all these segments.
Yeah,
and I was just like, we're not going to get to any of
that.
That
was back in the day too, where
Josh used to do that, where he would come up with, and then he was just stopped.
But my text early on, like the text I was first sending in the first couple of months, were so long and way too detailed. Where now the text I send to Josh is way whittled down, but it's still like a couple of. Probably 2 paragraphs worth of
Josh probably
text.
doesn't care either way.
No, I don't care. I don't know. Do you care about my texts that I send you?
Do you need them to be overly detailed or
No,
Not really.
no. Talk about whatever you want. I'll go with you.
But it's good for Josh because Josh makes
he's
the
a
tweet.
passenger.
He is a passenger. Well, no, Josh is way more than a passenger.
He's a passenger that occasionally drives.
Passengers. A movie that
Josh
shows up on TikTok.
Josh did intro. Josh did say the first words during a segment yesterday, and it caught me off guard, and I very much enjoyed it. Actually, we didn't do that. We haven't done that a whole lot, but you let off, and I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. I forgot
You were fiddling with something, and I'm like, okay, I'll just.
I was
I'll
writing
jump
down
in here.
stats.
We're behind it.
I was getting my PFF
Were you
stuff.
like, did you feel like the spotlight had come on you and it's like, it's my time?
We did go a good 8 seconds with the bump running without me saying anything. So it was just at
That's
that
okay.
point.
Sometimes you like listening to the music.
I listen to free balling, and I'm just like, man, that could be me.
Mhm.
So I made it happen.
You could be
for
reading
myself.
By the way, I liked in the promo that Matt fact comes up. That I didn't realize that was a part of the segment.
I haven't heard our promo.
It's good.
The trees one.
Yeah, it's a very good promo.
Yeah.
I've heard people tell me that it's good. I haven't.
It's
heard
very
it.
good. It's very good. That's just a very.
It's covered a lot of the week so far.
I've
Just
never.
like trees cover all the ground in Lincoln.
That was the first time I've gone back and listened to a Happer and Schaefer segment, where it's like typically when I listen to you guys, I just listen live. Where that one was, I
You
was
sought
like,
that
You
one
think
out.
it was must listen?
that's what I was told. And I think it was correct. I think it was incredibly funny. It does take a little bit to get to the Jimmy thinks Lincoln's Tree Town, USA. And then the jokes start to roll.
I just fielded another call during the break talking about how many trees Lincoln has. I go, I know. Lincoln was named Tree City,
You know how you
USA.
felt like Lincoln had an enhanced sense of Keaton? It's clearly an enhanced sense of trees.
I will tell you, I
And
live.
people look around and they're like, wow, there's a lot of trees out here. There must be a lot compared to other towns.
People in Nebraska are very keen on telling you what Nebraska is known for. Like they're very keen on telling you who were famous people, who accomplished what was created here, because there's a sense of pride about this state.
Sure.
Okay. I've learned a lot about Bob Gibson, Gale Sayers. I've learned a ton about the Reuben and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
in
but
regards,
there's also a lot of people who have never been anywhere else, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, the Reuben. People, hey, Bob Gibson, one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
What's the Mount Rushmore of things you've learned about Nebraska?
Oh,
Bob Gibson, Gale Sayers, the
Reuben,
Kool-Aid Man.
There is, but I think the difference is, because I think that's the case everywhere. Like, everybody's proud of their
Oh,
place.
1,000,000%.
But the difference here is
We have less.
No, it's not even that.
There's more of a sense of pride, in my opinion.
It is the fact that no one has a good understanding of what any other place is like. There's no like grand scheme vision.
No.
It's just like, this is my life. This is here.
Yes.
This is,
yes. And
there's a lot of accuracy to that.
I follow Nebraska football. This must be the way it is in.
Because unless you've lived multiple
world.
different places, it's sort of hard to have any appreciation of anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what New Hampshire's like. I've been there once.
But I
can't tell you anything about a New Hampshire experience.
But I'll tell you this for sure. I go back home and I have an appreciation of Nebraska. Like, that happens a ton too, where I will be experiencing something in Chicago and I'd be like,
smog.
I'd be like,
overpopulation.
Honestly, yes,
dirty streets.
Yes. How much everything?
7 Al's beefs.
How? No. That's actually, I come back here to Nebraska and I go, I wish there was an Al's beef here.
You would trade a Runza for an Al's beef?
Yes, I trade one Runza for Al's beef. Absolutely,
I would too.
That needs to be a segment.
Absolutely.
Fast food trades.
Yeah. I think we can trade 2 Runzas and we can get.
I give them like 50 Runzas.
That needs to be a thing that happens between cities.
I mean,
They
how
should
many
be allowed
Runzas-
to trade.
How many
stuff.
Runzas do we have here in Omaha?
I have no idea, Josh.
Not
I'll
as many
tell
as you would think.
30?
7.
In Omaha?
We have
You
7.
think
It's like
there's
Al's
30
beef.
Runzas?
I bet there's 30 Runzas in the Omaha metropolitan area.
I'm going to take the under on that.
Yeah, it's probably like 25.
I'm thinking 15.
I'll take the over on that. Can I take the
looking,
tween? Can I
Check it
take
out.
the tween?
Omaha metro area. So we are including Bellevue. We're including Gretna.
I don't know if Runza would do great in Chicago though. I don't know because the
You
actual
don't like burgers?
well, that's the thing where it's like if you're promoting it as a run, like I don't know if people would take to the actual runs. I think people would like the burgers. The fast food burger is probably the best fast food burger I've ever had.
It's a great
14
burger.
in Omaha.
14 in Omaha.
I think
I don't know. I just don't know. Like I don't know
What
how
about in
I
the
don't know how
Omaha
Runza would do.
metropolitan area, Josh? Count the dots.
Without getting outside of Omaha, Bennington, Gretna, Council Bluffs.
Yeah.
Ralston.
Council
I'm
Bluffs,
at
you know.
21.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in the 25 range.
I think
probably?
you might have been right
You
initially.
might, yeah,
I
you might have been on it.
I will
I did not
trade-
have enough appreciation for how many runs.
I will
there
trade 7 to 10 Runzas for a mix of Al's beef and Portillo's.
are. I was going to say Portillo.
Baymon goes, I would trade my children for Portillo's.
I might even trade 15 Runzas for that.
What do I want from Chicago? I want the
I
want
think-
the Giordano's we were
No,
promised.
you don't. No, you don't. You
I
don't want
want
Gio's. Gio's is the most overrated.
Well, I don't care. Give me
Establishment
Gio's,
ever.
Give me Lou Malnati's.
Take
give me
Lou's every day.
Uno, give me any of them.
All right, Blue Jay goes, trade proposal with the state of Texas. 3 Runzas for a Whataburger, an In-N-Out, and a first-round pick.
Absolutely. I'm doing that.
I
deal.
think that's I don't know if Texas
I
would agree
trade
with that.
So many
They have-
Runzas
they
for a
have
Whataburger.
50 Whataburgers. We could have one.
But and a first-round pick?
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting an In-N-Out out of the deal, too.
I would actually trade
First, you know what we would use the first round pick on?
Culver's.
Well, from Texas? No.
We have
Oh,
Culver's.
A first-round
I
pick
want more
from Texas? I'm using it on Torchy's Tacos.
Torchy's
personally.
Tacos or Bucky's,
Oh,
man.
my God, yeah.
which I guess we're getting apparently.
I would.
That seems
Have
real.
you
Right
had
next to that
Rudy's
Olympic
down in
hockey
Texas?
facility.
Have I had what?
Rudy's?
What's it known
It's
for?
like it's a chain barbecue down there that's better than any barbecue that's up
I
here.
don't think so.
Max Olson and I discussed how like a Rudy's opened up in Omaha. It would be the best barbecue in Nebraska for so many people. And it's just like a standard run-of-the-mill chain down in Texas.
Yikes. Tough luck for us.
Not to slant. There's good barbecue here.
Now,
It's just that people would flock to it.
with Airport Block 16 opening up, does that mean we have 2 Block 16 locations? Could we deal one
Well,
for
that's like a
something
big
pretty
trade
good?
chip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would.
I'll take an
I would
Cheval.
want a lot for my Block 16.
Mhm.
I'll take a Shaw's Crab House.
I'll trade it straight
Well,
up.
I'll be honest.
I
Block
would need a
16
hall.
in the airport doesn't seem like something I'm going to have.
I'm just gonna trade it straight
No.
up for like French Laundry. You know, you think they'd take it? What do you think the trade meter would say on
Who
that?
says no?
Who says no? That's what all the idiot Red Sox fans were saying as it pertains to trades for Bobby Witt Jr.
Would we give up a Runza for
Who
Mike?
says no? Everyone.
Would we give up a Runza for Michael Jordan's house? Just take Michael Jordan's house and put it in Omaha here
Why
with
would
the
I
big
want that? I
23
don't need
gates. I mean, it's a big deal, man. You're always writing articles about
It's always for sale.
it. It's always for
Wait,
sale.
who's always writing articles about
The
it?
Sun Times always wrote about the Michael Jordan house and how the valuation kept going down.
Well, didn't a man from Lincoln buy it, and then the Journal Star wrote about it because Nebraska practiced there or something?
That's why I bring it up.
Yeah.
I think that's one of one
all
of the
sounds
funniest fun facts I've been told. Where it's
Yeah.
when they're playing Northwestern, they go and practice at Michael Jordan's old house because
A Lincoln resident lives there. and
lives there
invites
now.
him,
Yeah, it's so funny to me because that house literally would just get. You'd open up the Sun Times and there's another Michael Jordan house
That's
article.
really weird.
It was so strange. Just like when I got here and everybody would tell me about Warren Buffett's house and how there are just people around like taking pictures
Oh,
around
you're
it.
in Berkshire, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? And then that's kind of the adjacent to it.
There's never articles about Warren Buffett's house, though.
Well, you think that there's never been an article
I mean,
about
there
Warren?
has
I'm
been
pretty
an
sure there was
article.
I'm pretty sure there was an article last year about people surrounding Warren Buffett's house in the Omaha World Herald. I'm almost positive that was.
Oh, you can
published last year.
write, rinse, repeat that story every year.
I guess I don't understand what you're saying about Michael Jordan's house.
It's
then.
okay. I was just trying to do a slant. It
Okay.
didn't work out too well,
Oh.
so we can move on.
All
We can
right.
keep talking about fast
Have you
food
guys ever
restaurants.
looked at Nellie's abandoned mansion outside of St. Louis?
Oh,
Has this ever come up for you?
No,
No.
it sounds awesome though.
So I was on this kick a while ago of just looking at abandoned mansions or like famous people that just let properties go into just state of disrepair or whatever.
Sure.
And one of the famous ones is outside of St. Louis. Nellie had this 11,000 square foot mansion that's just crumbling, and he sold it. And then whoever bought it they weren't really doing anything with it. And then there's just like heavy vandalism. Just throw it in.
You guys remember Rod Cush's house?
Yes.
I do.
Rod Cush's house, which was demolished to make. There's apartments out there now.
I think that's right.
But it sat there empty for years.
Well, then there was a mysterious fire, right?
and then there was a mysterious fire.
That's a Burke High Hall of Famer. I mean, that's their bar, and I can't clear it. Interesting.
I would like to go to Nellie's abandoned house.
Yeah.
It'd be chill.
You should look at the photos from it. It looks wild.
Okay, I'll check it out. I saw.
But abandoned, like you can fall down a real rabbit hole on the internet with abandoned mansions and looking at photos of this.
Yeah, there has been a whole run on those, and then like abandoned malls.
stuff. Yeah.
on YouTube and stuff like that. Nellie's 11,000 square foot mansion located in Wildwood, Missouri, purchased by him in 2002 for $1.9 million.
Basketball court.
Basketball court,
Yeah, they got one in front. Looks terrible now.
6 bed, 7 bath, and a.
That is like the most. Like if I just had gotten into money and you go, Matt, build a mansion, I feel like I would build my mansion that way. Just a lot of just big pillars and very circly. Like that
I
is
definitely have a basketball court. I know
Spiral
that.
staircase.
It's
Yeah.
an indoor court. I would want if I had a mansion, I would want an indoor basketball court.
yeah, probably.
I would kill so much time with like televisions on the wall, just shooting jumpers while watching TV. It'd be great.
I don't know. I've never thought of like if I had a mansion, what would I put in there?
You'd probably have a golf simulator. Where you'd be
Probably.
hitting 265,
Just striping it
hyping it.
right down the middle.
Probably like have a pool table that I would use a ton for the first like 2 months
Would
of
never-
living there.
I never have wanted a pool table because I don't think I would ever get the value out of it.
I
They
think-
look awesome.
I think I would use it for 2 months and then eventually it would just be sitting there rotting and be like, I
Well,
don't
and you
use
would
this
need
thing.
to invite people over all the time to fill your mansion out.
Yeah, that seems like probably the most stressful part about owning the mansion is
what you-
filling the mansion.
As a young person, you would opt for just the condo.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Devonta Smith just has a normal looking house in Philly or something like that. Like he's got just a regular old like 3-bed,
Yeah,
3
Justin
bath.
Jefferson, same thing. He's like,
Like-
why would I want to spend money?
He's like
It's just
to
me.
To me, I was like I look at that and I'm like, that's actually like incredibly intelligent, super smart for people to be like, yeah, why do I need to soup up my house? Like, I'm a regular old guy.
Yeah.
I just, you know,
Well, they're not there year round.
it's a good point too. What are they? I mean, that's a lot of those guys now. They go out to California, I feel like, during the off season,
Or Florida or
Arizona.
Georgia, Atlanta.
I'd probably get like a super nice apartment or something
Yeah, just a really nice condo
That's
that
what-
you don't have to have
on a
outside
high
maintenance.
floor.
That's what Patrick Kane did. Patrick Kane owned an apartment in Trump Tower in
Now a
Chicago.
Blackhawk again.
Yeah, he had like his Trump Tower apartment was incredibly famous, and then he then bought another one above it at one point too, and like owned two different like
Two towers?
Yeah. Like that's what he did. A lot of those guys though, like they live out in like the burbs. Yeah, they didn't live downtown.
Just saw an article from Icon. Nelly's crumbling mansion is a relic of the MTV Cribs era.
Let's go.
Oh man, I might read this.
Yeah. So you're going to get into the rabbit hole.
Maybe.
And then you'll be in a slideshow of other famous people's crumbling mansions.
I would like to watch some old episodes of Cribs. That's for sure.
You know, if I had
That'd be a
mansion,
good watch.
if I had mansion,
Cribs or Pimp My Ride.
how about you put a Portillo's in your mansion?
I don't think I'd need a Portillo's.
You have to hire their Portillos.
I would want
If
a
I had
Whataburger
had more money than God, I might be. I'm pretty sure there's a famous.
Why do people talk about God having money?
I don't know. It's just a good saying. I like to throw out there.
I mean, I guess is it because he has everything? It'd be infinitely vast.
Would you like me to add a different person, more money than blank? Who would you add to that instead
Probably
of God?
someone who has a just go with Bezos. That's the easy one.
Yeah, but that doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
More money than Bezos.
Well, also too, I'll never have more. Well, I guess I'll never have more money
Yeah,
than
more
God
than-
either.
What are you? Yeah. What are you talking about here?
I don't know. I've been
So what would
missing
you
the
do
mark on a lot of
If
analogies
you had
here.
more money than Bezos,
Probably like put in a fast food restaurant in my mansion.
but like a fully operational fast
Probably
food.
like a
Are you
Chipotle.
employing the people?
Are you employing and are you housing the people?
So are
have
you the
adopted
franchisee
people?
of this place?
Great question.
And then do you have to pay if it's already in your house?
Are other people coming to visit that fast food restaurant
Once-
in your
Wait,
house?
is there parking?
Is there a line?
God.
Do you
No,
have to have
no,
insurance?
no.
So I think
I
you
would
have
pay
to,
them.
I think you have to actually house these people.
No, they can go back home after. They can go and live there. They just got to come back to my house to work.
And what do they do?
Well,
all
that's
day?
what
They
happens.
make burritos and bowls.
Only like 2 burritos max. a
Oh, I'll
day?
make sure that they get some work in. You know, I'll bring people in. I'll make sure that they get
Maybe
some.
you would feed the community.
Maybe
with
I
your
would.
workers.
Yes,
You know what you're describing sounds a lot like servant.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm paying them.
Well,
I'll pay them. I'll
And
pay
then
them a
They're
lot of
not
money.
paid too, allegedly.
You're
I just
asking
want to
your
be able to have a
domestic-
bowl whenever I want.
Asking your domestic staff to make burritos sounds
They have
problematic.
they have chefs.
Having a domestic
You could just
staff
have a
sounds
chef.
problematic.
No, but I want to have the big sign that says Chipotle
you
in
can
my
get a
mansion.
sign too.
You have the money to buy the sign.
Yeah, but I want
You
them
don't
to
have to
be.
get a fully operational Chipotle.
But I want there to be like 3 people in the back
Can you
cutting
hire,
chicken.
like
You
a
know.
Chipotle chef that doesn't come work for you that can make
How
other
cool would it
things?
be if you just walked into my house and there was a fully operational Chipotle?
Less cool that it was a fully operational Qdoba.
Okay, well I could use a Qdoba as well. I would just lay it out
You're
to
gonna
a
have
vote.
both?
If I had more money than Bezos, I might as well just have a whole food court in my mansion.
with
Would
the
you want an
burritos.
entire food court in your mansion?
What is the perfect combination for a food court? It's got to be a Subway, a pizza place, a
I think you
Panda
gotta have
Express.
a sandwich, a burger, a Chinese. I would say like Mexican food, probably.
Maybe
I think you need like an ice cream or a pretzel place in there too.
Definitely
you
a pretzel.
need an ice cream place. You need just a fully dessert place for sure.
Well, what about the pretzels?
I'm hit or miss on the pretzels.
Absolutely, you need a pretzel.
You're missing
In a food
then.
court, you
if
need a
you're hit or
pretzel.
miss on the pretzels, you're missing.
I think it's more you need sandwich, Chinese, a pizza place, and then probably pretzel and ice cream. I don't think I
I
need
don't
a.
think I need a pizza place in the food court because pizza is so plentiful and available everywhere.
It's just Sbarro.
And I don't need a Sbarro.
That's what you need. There is
You don't need a Sbarro, but there are people who eat like 8-year-olds who only eat
Sure.
pizza and mac and cheese. In
I
which
once was an 8-year-old.
we would need a
Now
pizza place
I'm a
for the people.
38-year-old, and I still kind of like to eat like that.
Cracky goes, Taco Bell at home would be ideal, so you wouldn't have to gamble on not being able to poo anywhere but home.
That's true. You could get that disease in
You
the
could eat
comfort
it
of
right
your own
on
house.
the toilet.
Stibbs goes Orange Julius. How many Orange Julius is just out and about?
Well,
Those are great though.
yeah, I don't know if they're just out there. Like I think they're only in food courts.
Yeah.
They are great though,
or gas
or
stations.
were great. I don't know if they
Or
still
gas
exist.
stations.
Do we think there's an Orange Julius in Omaha?
No.
There used to be one in the Oakview Mall.
If there's an Orange Julius in Omaha, it definitely is out west to where I would. It's probably in West Maple area.
They have the DQ Orange Julius, don't they?
I thought they did.
That still exists.
Let's
I don't know
go
if
to
they.
orangejulius.com.
I don't know if they market it that way anymore,
Locations.
but yeah,
I think DQ just took it over
DQ.
and then buried Orange Julius.
DQ, good burger. Didn't realize it.
Madison Avenue in Council Bluffs.
Oakview Mall still has an Orange Julius per AI. I don't know if I believe it, but
Orangejulius.com says none in Omaha.
liars.
James says you got to have a Shake Shack. We need that trade. I agree. I would trade about a lot of things for a Shake
Do
Shack.
we not have a Shake Shack here?
No, we do not.
Oh my god!
We do not. Kansas City. is
Where
the
do you
closest
think
one.
the Shake Shack would be?
Somewhere out west where I would not be willing to
Okay.
go.
Yeah, right. You go to Shields every day.
That's not true. I've been to Shields
He
in
hasn't
a
been to
while.
Shields because he lost his car.
The
Yeah, I
Shake
have to
Shack
do that.
Would be out by Shields.
If the Shake Shack was out by Shields, I would.
It would be out there.
We
I would
want to
hammer
join
that.
everything by us
It
in
would.
West Maple, I think.
Exactly. Except for apparently we lost pavement on our roads.
Yeah, we don't have pavement. But
What?
We're getting on
What
their
happened?
things. They decided to do all the road projects at once.
Our road turned into dirt.
So now we just have a bunch of signs that say loose gravel everywhere.
That's terrible.
Don't
It
worry.
is.
That's awful.
I
the
sent
price for
several
progress.
angry texts to Happer yesterday.
At least it's not a void.
Yeah, at least it's not a sinkhole. You
we
know,
don't have sinkholes. We just have loose gravel.
that's the crossover. That was fun.
It's
Thanks,
over.
guys. Yeah, it went long. You know, it was a good time. We covered a lot of different topics.
I agree.
We'll do that here on Middays with Matt coming up next. 1620 Zone Radio Network.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call. Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays, Matt, live and rolling here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. Matt McMaster is always joined by Josh Otson. J.O., how are you?
I'm good. I'm
in a mid mood.
Yeah, I heard you had a rough start. I'll call it that.
There's nothing more frustrating when the coffee order gets screwed up. Okay. But I would say even more frustrating than that is when it's just not executed properly. And today they burnt the bean on the Americano. Okay. Now some people might be wondering, what is burning the bean? Well, that's things when you roast your beans, your coffee beans at too high of a temperature. And so then it causes that kind of bitter aftertaste on your coffee. And you feel like you're kind of scraping saliva off of your tongue and you're swallowing it back. That's what burning the bean is. They burnt the bean on my coffee today. I did not get off to a good start. I'm kind of moody since then. I've been moody the entire morning now because they burnt my bean.
We all knew what burnt the bean meant, right?
Well, I didn't want.
Nobody was mistaken. Right?
Well, there's some people who don't know what burning the bean means.
Okay.
Some people might think, wow, Matt's going to take a lighter to that stupid little statue outside of Michigan Avenue in Chicago.
I guess, yeah.
Some people might believe that's what burning the bean is. No, I was in it just got me in a mood. Got me in a mood immediately. And Then I had to read multiple Dylan Raiola articles this morning. And then that got me.
You people care about the stupidest things.
It's not a Thursday, but we have been strong in not talking about this thing.
Not talking about it.
And we've just thrown pieces of paper into the fire, right? But we haven't really dove into Tree Town, USA and cornfields and how people feel about them. We haven't. And we still won't. Will I go into why? Maybe I'll talk about why I don't care. But then I feel like if I talk about why I don't care, it makes me seem like I do care.
Dangerously close to talking about this.
Exactly. So it's like, how do I want to play this? Like, do I want to be the contrarian that still doesn't talk about something that I don't care about, that I really don't think that matters? Or has it just blown up to the point where we kind of do have to discuss it? It's frustrating. And my bean got burnt this morning. You know what I'm saying? It's like both ways. I had a bitter ass coffee and I had to read all these articles about something I don't care about. But apparently a lot of people do.
Being bitter about a broke ass quarterback leaving town.
They are. I don't know. One of them was very bitter. Not the local one. The national one.
You're reading national articles about this?
Yeah, I know.
God.
I can't help it.
I know it's your job, but
just like I watched every single pass Carson Beck threw yesterday, and then I rewatched it this morning.
Nope.
What do you mean, nope?
I watched the Braves, and then the Braves game got over, and I flipped it over to Red Sox, White Sox extra innings.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I can feel it right now.
Come on.
It's going to be a good one.
Hit me.
Oh! I felt it coming. I felt the pressure on the top of the can. I was like, this is going to be crisp. This is what I have to do now, by the way. I have to drink a cherry Coca-Cola.
It's a delicious beverage.
By far my favorite Coca-Cola, by the way. Cherry Coke. Nothing messes with it. But I have to now drink this cherry Coca-Cola so I can get my proper caffeine in.
Mm-hmm.
Because my bean was burnt.
They would never burn the cherries in the cherry Coke. Although Stibbs burnt cherry Coca-Cola. Charred
cherry, like a darker flavor.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
like a more stout Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I don't know. That's free. Stibbs.
Yeah,
you take it, play with it.
We can play with that a little bit, right? Maybe like a bourbon cherry.
Oh,
bourbon cherry Coke.
Hello.
By the way, I
can get some bourbon real quick.
I got an old-fashioned kit. Like my dad bought me this little. I'll send you a picture of it. I think, well, not that you need it. You already have your bitters at home and all the sugar that you need to make your old fashions. but it was this nice little kit, and it comes with like sugar cubes, aromatics. There's like a base bitters, and then there's like a flavored bitters that you can add into it. It's pretty great. I made myself an old fashioned and watched Carson Beck play quarterback yesterday.
We have some
text messages,
disputes on the Liquid Zone Trucking Twitter feed.
Go ahead.
This is from Connor. We'll call him. Well, no, that's too obvious. Let's call him Mr. Happer.
Mr. Happer. What did Mr. Happer say?
Connor H. Matt, if you're getting an Americano, there are no beans involved in that item, so they did not burn the bean.
That's not true.
Oh, it's made with espresso and water, yes?
Yeah.
The espresso started as a bean, yes?
Yes. You totally can burn the bean on an Americano. What was the bitter taste I was tasting, Connor?
The terrible mistakes you've made in your life? Watching all those Carson Beck passes? Heard he was good last night.
Master Americano. Tips essential espresso. While you can preheat... here. You can burn the bean on Americano.
I don't know. I'm not coffee guy. I'm just reading the messages.
Success with Americano begins with having the right equipment properly maintained and calibrated. Your espresso machine, steam wand, and hot water spout need regular cleaning and temperature monitoring to ensure consistent results. Many baristas underestimate how equipment and condition directly impacts the final product. Calibrate your espresso machine's hot water temperature between 185 and 205 for optimal extraction. If it's too hot, then you burn the bean and you get the bitter taste. I'm trying to.
At some point, it went from bean to espresso.
Yes, you can burn the bean.
I don't know whose fault it is.
In roasting, burning means that the beans have been overexposed to heat, often resulting in ashy, bitter taste. That's what I was tasting today in my Americano. I had a bitter taste. That's how the beans were burnt. So that's number one. We've ignored that. From the 402.
Hi, 402.
Cherry Cola is peak.
I agree. Great take, 402.
Top 10 Coca-Colas would be a great top 10 Tuesday.
Well, maybe in 2 weeks, I'll do that.
That'd be a good one.
Won't be here next week.
Good one. You won't be. Yes, you will not be here next week. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you to take vacation.
What am I supposed to do?
You are the hardest working man in radio. This is going to be awesome. You're going to chillax.
That can't be true, but thank you.
You're going to relax. You're going to have a great time. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from you.
I don't want to hear from y'all either.
I just want you to sit back. A quiet Oddson means a relaxing Oddson. And a relaxing Oddson means a happy Oddson. And a happy Oddson makes a happy McMaster.
It's a real cause and effect. Sorry, I'm just fascinated by this blower that they're showing an ad for on TV.
This is the second time we've seen this blower.
I know.
Can we? Okay, real quick.
That's right. This is the product we were waiting for them to add.
All right, get your phone out. Get your phone out.
And they
get your phone out.
Okay.
$79.99.
It's a lot for
no,
only
but if
one,
they add in call, if they add in a call now for two, we'll split this thing. If they add in, we'll add in a second blower.
We've done this,
but maybe they changed it up. Maybe they added.
Okay.
You already get the free charger flat. No. You only just get the free muzzle and charger and extra battery. They don't add in a second one. By the way, that was a really hard transition from the blower to the enshrinement ceremony for the Hall of Fame, which is happening at noon on Saturday.
Spoiler alerts for what to watch.
Packers and Steelers next preseason game is on Thursday at 6 o'clock.
That's right.
Who's going to be the quarterback? I think for Steelers, it'll be Will Howard and Drew Aller will be their quarterbacks, unless Mason Rudolph ends up playing. Raiders next, Friday, that'll be Mendoza will probably end up taking some snaps. So that'll be pretty big. Were you, so you didn't watch any of the Hall of Fame game yesterday?
Saw Carson Beck's first touchdown as a highlight, and then my man Haynes King, the game winner.
People were very much clowning me.
You went against trends and bet the under for the Hall of Fame game yesterday.
I did.
It blew up almost instantly in your face.
No, that's false.
At halftime, the overhit
that's
hit.
False. That's false. They went a whole quarter without scoring points.
Okay.
And the first two punts were phenomenal.
Very productive second quarter then.
And then the second quarter, they ended up scoring 28 total points, and then it was done from there. And then Austin Jacobsen, who'll be joining us at 1:00 today, Carolina Panthers fan, was very much rubbing it in my face that Haynes King absolutely blew the bet open. It was Carson Beck, though, who, tell you right now, he was impressive yesterday. He was impressive. Am I going to take a victory lap because Carson Beck was incredible in a preseason game? Absolutely not. Am I going to reiterate, though, that I was higher on him than a lot of people heading into the NFL draft? Absolutely. And was I very excited to see him play before yesterday's draft? Whilst all the jokes were streaming in on Twitter about Carson Beck playing in a preseason game, I was fired up to see him play. Other than the fact that the Cardinals, at least from that one training camp video, looked like they were absolutely terrible. He played really well yesterday, though. He was, 15 to 19, 188 yards, 1 touchdown. Really good deep ball accuracy. Arm looked strong. What I was impressed by him was on his short and intermediate routes, his accuracy wasn't just, I'm going to hit the guy in the hands. Like, it was thoughtful accuracy. He had one incompletion on a 3rd and 2. And the guy, his wide receiver, ran a slant route. And he saw that the corner was breaking in on the wide receiver. He was breaking towards his inside shoulder. So we placed the ball on the receiver's outside shoulder so the defender wouldn't have an opportunity to bat the ball down. And so what just happened was that the wide receiver couldn't hold on to it, and the hit from the corner was pretty hard. But the point being, like, he had multiple throws like that where it's not just about, hey, I'm going to hit this guy. It's like, I'm going to hit him lower so I protect my player and I protect the ball. I'm going to hit his fade ball that he threw. I think that was that touchdown pass he threw. Man, that was impressive. Just floated in beautifully in the right corner. He showed a lot yesterday. He commanded the line, made a couple can calls, made some audibles, looked confident, looked like a guy who had played 55 college football games at an incredibly high level, which is exactly what he did.
Really put his neck on the line.
Collinsworth was calling for a quarterback battle about 5 plays into Carson Beck, which that was an incredible part of the broadcast. Of literally, we were 3 minutes in, and Chris Collinsworth was talking about the 2027 NFL draft for the Arizona Cardinals. We were 3 minutes in, and he was talking about the quarterback that they might take in next year's draft. The season had just started. Literally, this is our action. And Collinsworth was already calling the Cardinals a bum-ass team, which was incredible. So America needed that yesterday.
Oh.
We needed that. We needed a fourth quarter drive to win a football game. We needed last play, 000, Haynes King scramble to win it all. We needed that. We needed to feel that. That was a very impressive and competitive Hall of Fame game. Did I wish it was a boring, terrible, non-scoring point Hall of Fame game? You bet your ass I wish it was. Okay, it would have been a little bit more. You know what? I could have bought a second coffee after my bean was burnt.
Yes.
Connor has since responded, by the way. He goes, I imagine it was bitter because there was more espresso. You can burn a bean on an espresso. That is something that can happen.
My name's Paul, and this is between y'all.
Yeah, good point. I am Connor, though, is very heavy into coffee now in his life, and so I feel
Americanos especially.
Yeah, we'll have to. I will say that I'm an Americano man because Connor Happer's an Americano man. He has inspired me to be an Americano boy because he drank them a lot, and then I was like, like Connor drinks Americanos. Like, I wonder I've never had one. I've only ever had like cappuccinos and lattes. So then I started ordering some Americanos because I was like, if this guy likes it, I wonder, what's that about? And then I started getting them. Now I like Americanos a lot. Jesse goes, will Adrian Martinez play in a preseason game? I imagine that. I imagine that he will. I imagine that he probably will play in a couple preseason games for the San Francisco 49ers. That should be pretty entertaining.
He's the only one that's not hurt.
That is another thing. That's a very interesting storyline that I'm going to pre-predict. I already pre-predicted that Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, will eventually be the head coach of the Jets.
You have said this.
I will predict that the Mac Jones sweepstakes will take place next year. He was very impressive in the games that he came in and played for the San Francisco 49ers last year. And I thought that we were going to deem him like the next Sam Darnold candidate if he were to enter free agency last season. He did not. He stayed with the 49ers. I'll predict that next season what happened with Malik Willis will probably end up happening with Mac Jones. Some team, probably one that's not incredibly competitive, will go ahead and pay him about $25 million to potentially be their quarterback and to see if they can get pennies on the dollar when it comes to quality QB play, which I feel bad for Malik Willis. Doing my preseason reading on NFL teams, he is set up for major failure. Like I cannot name you one wide receiver on the Miami Dolphins.
That's what I was going to ask. I saw a podcast that said, can you name one Miami Dolphins wide receiver?
I can't.
And I said, well, I can't name one off the top of my head, but let me go over to the Dolphins roster. Surely I've heard of one of these people before. I think
Malik Washington is a wide receiver that they have on. Do you know why I know Malik Washington is a wide receiver the Dolphins have? Because when I look up Malik Washington for the Maryland quarterback, the first name to pop up is Malik. Okay. So I've clicked on Malik Washington's profile of the Dolphins multiple times on accident to be like, I've never heard. Okay, I guess the Dolphins have a Malik Washington who's he's their number one wide receiver.
Yeah,
on the team. Jalen Tolbert, you know Jalen Tolbert. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. He was like their kickoff return guy.
Okay,
mainly in his career. Now I'm on a different. Now I'm on a different tab. Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell. You know Tutu Atwell? He played for the Los Angeles Rams. He was like their fourth wide receiver. He was like a slot guy. He had a really big game.
Doesn't ring a bell.
You know Tutu?
No.
How about Chris Bell? He played for Louisville. Didn't he play for Chris Bell? I'm pretty sure he was a Purdue Boilermaker too in his career.
Whoa.
If I'm not mistaken. Can you look that up? Chris Bell. I think he played for Purdue. Come on, you know these
Chris
guys.
Bell went to Louisville.
But didn't he? I'm pretty sure he transferred.
Nothing about Purdue made the wiki.
Nope. Maybe I was wrong.
Initially committed to Southern Miss.
Wow.
Decommitted from the Golden Eagles, went to Louisville.
Baymon goes, Matt keeps telling us we know names we have never heard of.
Exactly.
Come on, Tutu was a great player.
I did this exercise literally 24 hours ago, and I'm telling you, I've not heard of these people.
PC goes, Tutu first TD in 2019, 60-1, one of my all-time favorite winners.
Wow.
See, he's existed. Played for the Rams.
No, I'm telling you, it's a me problem that I don't know these people exist.
Can I tell you right now, Josh? Mm-hmm. It's not a problem at all. Okay. Do you know who's a problem it's for? Do you know whose problem it is? Jeff Hafley's and Malik Willis's. That's whose problem that is. It has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with anybody other than the people who are playing and coaching the Miami Dolphins. Okay. Nebraska Cornhuskers training camp, fall camp going on right now. We'll continue to talk about it. Brian Christopherson, Huskers 24/7, will join us at 11:20. We'll interview BC about all the musings and things that are happening at fall camp. We'll dive into it a little bit more. Is this Matt Rhule's most important fall camp of his coaching career? It's up there for sure. I mean, if not the season that he ended up getting fired from Carolina, I don't know which one would really compete with it. This is definitely a make or break year for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And certainly how we feel about the future, extended future of Matt Rhule's tenure as the Nebraska football head coach. I've heard some pretty encouraging things. Holgerson, they've been doing these Husker Radio Network interviews where either Jessica Cootie or Kyle Crooks get on the microphone and interview coaches and players. Holgerson did his yesterday, said some pretty interesting things just about reiterating the experience that Nebraska football has, which I think is a little bit of an underrated storyline that definitely has been propped up more and more as we've gotten into fall camp and Big Ten media days. You know, I think for me, as someone who likes to keep up with the macro college football comparison stats from Nebraska to the rest of the country, the Matt Rhule saying we have the third most experience in the FBS, that kind of caught me off guard. And I think that is a very interesting and important stat, because I think that when you look at Matt Rhule's success at Temple and Baylor, it came with rosters that had incredibly experienced FBS players to that point, right? The year 3 in Temple and year 3 in Baylor, those breakout years that have propelled Matt Rhule throughout his entire coaching career, propelled him to get the Carolina Panther job, to propelled him to eventually get the Nebraska football job. Those years came with incredibly experienced rosters, with older rosters, with guys who had been playing since they were, underclassmen to when they're upperclassmen. Nebraska has some of that now throughout the entirety of the roster. RVP's played plenty now in his career. Cam Lenhart has played a lot in his career now. You look at a guy like Donovan Jones, right? He's now played in a lot of games. And so you kind of go down the list. They've had an experienced roster. Even some of the guys that they brought in from the transfer portal have played a lot of football. McDougal and Chambliss, just to name a few. So we'll continue to talk about Nebraska football's experience. A very interesting quote from Holgorsen talking about a guy who was going to be very important for this team last year. He got injured in their very first game. Hoop, they're going to rely on, hopefully, this season in Janiran Bonner, also known as Wood. So we'll talk about some of Holgo's quotes. We'll talk about development. We'll talk about camp updates, both with you and me, Josh Hodson, and Brian Christopherson, who will join us at 11:20. We have some things to get to that we haven't gotten to throughout the week that I want to talk about. The Athletic wrote a very interesting article about the 2027 college basketball recruiting class. I want to hit on that and just kind of shed a little bit of light when it comes to how this new 5-for-5 eligibility rule will end up affecting high school athletes, along with the Athletic a couple of days ago released their NFL quarterback tier ranking. So we'll talk a little bit more about the Hall of Fame game and how much fun that was, but we'll lead it into a discussion about a couple of quarterbacks, more elite quarterbacks, certainly, than Haynes King and Carson Beck. No offense to those guys. And just kind of a couple of dudes where the rubber's going to meet the road this season. And it's interesting, the quarterbacks we'll talk about, and I'll just say them: Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, and CJ Stroud. The rubber kind of hits the road for them in very different ways and in different stages in their career. I think all those guys, other than Williams and Stroud, are in different parts of their quarterbacking careers where, for different reasons, these seasons matter greatly for them. Another running back got paid. Jahmyr Gibbs, congratulations, resetting the running back market after it was already reset a couple of days ago by Bijan Robinson. Gibbs getting $22.5 million a year. We'll talk about that and just the complete turnaround that running back market has had over the last 3 seasons. All the way back to like 2023, there wasn't a running back making more than $10 million a year. Now we're up to multiple guys at $20 million a year. That also includes Jonathan Taylor, who signed an extension a couple of days ago. We'll continue to talk about some PFF stats as well. PFF stat of the day. We've done it the last couple of days. We'll continue to do it again. We'll talk about the O-line and some interesting advanced analytics. Coming up next, though, let's talk about it. We haven't talked about Dylan. We're going to talk about it quickly.
Oh, no.
We're going to do it.
Oh.
I can't hold out any longer. Middays with Matt here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're gonna do it. I can't help it anymore.
I'm just one last plea. I'm telling you, we don't have to do this. If you still want to, that's fine.
See, you had previously worked with a radio host in Connor Happer who could totally stand 10 toes down and be like, we're not doing this. I said we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Okay? That's what he did. That's what he was very good at. And the reason is because Connor's a very just like, he's level. He's a level guy, right? He's staying in on it, right? He's like this, okay? He's a smooth operator, okay? I am not. I am an emotional human, okay? I'm an emotional guy. And I, in particularly, get fired up, all right? I get fired up. And we have just like, you remember when we did the Vrabel Rossini stuff? And I told you that, like, man, this thing happened on a Monday and it's now pestering, right? For the last couple of, like,
right.
That means something. The fact that it's still hanging around. The fact that this is still hanging around, like the fact that this thing happened, didn't this happen on a Monday? I think it happened on a Monday or Tuesday. And we are now this happened early in the week. And we are now at the end of the week. And we are still having great writers and great individuals like Mitch Sherman who has to now make a tweet that says, the fuss this week over Dylan Raiola's commentary on cornfields only serves to solidify that he and Nebraska went the right direction in splitting last year. Like, the fact that we are so far into the week and we are still discussing this is like making me go, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Let's just move on. And I'll tell you why that was my attitude. I'll tell you exactly why this was my attitude with this whole Dylan thing, the why that we didn't dive into it. The reason why I felt this way is because player development is a two-way street. Okay? You need good coaches. You need coaches who know what they're doing. You need coaches with experience, and you need coaches who know how to hit the right buttons. But you also, in player development, need a player who is willing to make the sacrifices and do the difficult things in order to get better. And the fact that you had a quarterback you were paying multiple millions of dollars, we had to have a conversation about that guy's body, okay? And that guy and his investment on his body and how much he weighed and how he was moving. The fact that we had to have a conversation about a guy who's getting paid that much money to do that job, who's getting invested in to the highest degree, who has been given everything that he had asked for. He was given everything he asked for. The fact that we had to have those conversations about that guy told me everything I needed to know about that individual. You get what I'm saying? You're picking up what I'm putting down? So when that all happened and that guy moved on, I was done with it. Whatever. I don't care. Everything I needed to know about you happened at Nebraska. There's nothing that you could say or you can do now to make me think different than the time that you were here. So he says those things. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. Like, why do I care? Move on. That's how I felt. And that's how I still feel. And like, that's the fact that we're still having this discourse is a little ridiculous to me. The guy left, he's moved on. It's better for everybody. It's better for everybody. But, you know,
he didn't love you. He never loved you. He will never love you. Get over it.
I'm not,
he wasn't good enough to care this much, people.
I've had an ex before. I was done with it. I was tired with it. They talk crap about me. I was like, I don't care. I don't want to be with them anyway. That's how Nebraska feels. If they wanted to be with Dylan, you know, they could have figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. They moved on. It's been very much out there that it was a mutual thing. That it was best for both sides. Move on. I don't care. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, a lot of people from a lot of different sides are talking about this.
My side is I'm done with it. And I think everything you needed to know about Dylan expressed to you in the 2 years he was here. And what he said while at Oregon about Nebraska doesn't shock me. It doesn't change who I think he is. And it doesn't, I don't think it affects anything other than, all right, the guy's the guy. You already knew that. It was already expressed to you in the time that he was here at Nebraska. But, it's August. We haven't played the games yet. We have to talk about something. We have to write about something. 'Tis the game, right? It is what it is. I don't think it affects anything on Saturdays. And I'm just more attuned to talk about things that I think actually affect Saturdays. I don't think anything Dylan Raiola said affects Saturdays. I don't.
Very little he did on Saturdays affected Saturdays.
I just, you move. I just, once again, Connor is very level-headed. He's very smooth. He's like this. I'm not that way. I get fired up about
You've
this
got
stuff.
that Latin passion.
I do. And it's just like, why are we still exuding effort and time and words to this guy? I'm done giving this guy attention. He doesn't affect me anymore. He does not, and he shouldn't affect anybody else.
Just like Scott Frost. The bad man can't hurt you anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's what it is. Is what it is. I couldn't help it. I had to get it out there. All right. Happer is still on the whole. Can I say this right here?
We have a bean update.
We have a bean update.
Okay. You and Connor are beefing over
beans.
Beans. Yeah.
So I said that my Americano tasted bitter today. And it upset me. And it probably is the reason why I'm now fired up talking about Dylan Raiola, because I had a bad
If you had a properly made Americano, you might have been able to breeze right over whatever Chubbs McGee said about corn and trees and
done, right? I'd be like, whatever. I still don't care. But I had a bad Americano. And the bitterness created me to be bitter, to react about bitter articles. Okay? So I've now looked up on homekitchtech.com about Americanos. Why does my coffee taste so bitter? One of the reasons is the water temperature. High heat burns the oils in your beans. If your machine runs above 205, you get a nasty char. Most home machines do not have a dial, so try a cooler water source. This is about how to fix over-extracted espresso, okay? Over-extracted espresso is why you have a bitter Americano. So you burn the beans when you're making your espresso, and then you put the burnt espresso in the Americano. It screws up the Americano. So you can burn the bean on your Americano. Putting that out there. Would love to have more coffee conversations with Connor Happer. I feel like that's when we do our
You guys could go get coffee and have a conversation and like film it.
Coffee with Connor.
You could drive around in a car.
What if Happer does that? Broadcasters in cars getting coffee. And he just does the Jerry Seinfeld thing, but with broadcasters.
Well, that guy sued Jerry Seinfeld because he said, hey, you stole my idea, so let's steal Jerry Seinfeld's idea.
Sindelar goes, yeah, they pulled a bad shot. Ho-hum. Poured a bad shot, I think is what he was saying. Hocus Screw laughed at one of your jokes. PC goes, Dylan is good. James goes, breaking news. Matt once had a girlfriend. 5 months, will never do it again.
You'll never do it again?
No, that's a lie.
Okay, I hope so.
Yeah. I obviously and actively would love to do it again.
You heard him, ladies.
My buddy Jay has texted me.
Hi, Jay.
I haven't texted Jay in a while.
What's up? What's Jay up to?
Jay goes, hey, buddy, to get rid of that bitter taste of your coffee, request them to add a little salt when they brew it.
Oh,
it's a European method of getting rid of it. It'll never fail you. Connor said, no, he meant pulled. Sorry. I'm not an espresso nut.
Alex says you pull.
Okay. All right.
Shot.
Sorry. Jeez, guys. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude, the coffee community is worse than the meat community.
Oh.
The coffee community and meat community are having a real race right now to figure out who's more specific about their toxicities.
Somewhere in there is also the Dylan Raiola is bad hive.
Connor, we should get, I do appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to listen here, by the way. How do you feel, Hap, about the putting salt in your espresso tip from Jay?
It makes sense.
Have you ever done that, Hap? We'll wait a quick little text here from Connor Happer. Sindelar got very fired up there about the do not tell me I'm wrong. All right, I didn't tell you you're wrong.
Coffee guys are passionate.
I had my cousin's husband. He we were hanging out. This was before they were married. And his name's Gabe, and I was trying to get to know Gabe, right? Because my cousin she may as well be my sister, right? That's how close we were.
Okay.
And I was trying to get to know him. And this was during the time that you were getting stimulus checks. Like everyone was getting their stimmy checks from COVID. And so he got his stimulus check and told me how he bought an espresso machine.
Ooh.
And then he tried getting into, like, he got really into coffee during COVID, during the lockdown. That was the thing he got into. And so I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I was thinking about like getting a Keurig. And he was like, no, don't. And he was like trying to go in depth in order how to do coffee better with me and everything like that. And he was giving me all the tips and tricks and like the pour overs and the filtering and the different types of like glasses you can get and stuff like that. And I just very immediately and swiftly just got out of that combo. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less about the chemistry of coffee. Seriously, like this is not a conversation for you and me to be having while I'm trying to get to know you. Like coffee combo should not be the first ice-breaking combo between someone very close to somebody who you're trying to marry.
What is your go-to icebreaker?
Ooh. I think my job is just a natural icebreaker. It's just a natural.
I would have guessed that about you.
It's perfect. It's like, what do you do for work? I'm in sport broadcasting. Guys get fired up about it.
Yeah.
Women go, how much money does that make? It's just kind of
really that little.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't care. They couldn't care less. It's just like, oh, cool. You talk about sports. Oh, you're so unique. You're so interesting. Breaking guy who likes sports, Alex goes, Matt not being interested in making his life better with good coffee makes a lot of sense.
Oh, no. What if we hired Sindelar to just come in for like 90 minutes in the morning?
Great idea.
Sort of towards the end of the morning show, sort of when we roll in before the show and just kind of, make sure everyone gets what they need coffee-wise. Not have him go get it, but like make it for us. Since he knows. He knows.
You know what? Yeah. That'd be great on like a Hinge profile. Tell me something about yourself. I know coffee.
I know coffee.
I know a guy too.
Sindelar says, I would do that.
I could see Sindelar being the guy who like has a coffee bean dude. He doesn't go to Costco to get his beans. He doesn't go to like a coffee shop to get his beans. He has a guy specifically that gets him his beans. I could see Alex being that way. Happer texting, I'm open to any ideas. I respect that about Connor. Connor's just trying to up his coffee game whatever best way he possibly can. Jacob Bigelow has texted.
Biggie, hello.
We talked about the time that Bigelow did host in radio with me. Bigelow wrote, also might have to make my bio somewhere. I don't regularly do radio, but I do takes. He did have some takes. We had some great college basketball conversations, which
he tipped me off to the.
He tips a lot of people off to things. That guy's a tipper.
What team was that? I'm sorry, I lost it. Everybody. Some basketball teams playing 4 road games in 5 days.
Oh yeah, it was. I saw that on the Twitter.
Uh-huh.
I have it right here. It's one of his text messages. I can scroll it up.
ULM.
Yeah, they have 2 back-to-backs.
Yeah. Texas A&M November 9th, TCU November 10th, Arizona State November 13th, Grand Canyon November 14th, and then home against Dallas Christian on November 16th.
That's brutal.
That's 5 games in a week.
That's another thing too where that's bad. And I was always shocked when Nebraska women's basketball would play like one of their early season non-con games against, a non-Power 5 school. And they would play these, very low level women's basketball teams. And you would find out that, hey, this women's basketball team, they play 36 games this year and like 30 of them are on the road because they just don't like have the facilities to host. Like they have to share facilities with the men's basketball team. And they don't have the facilities to host like a ton of home games. There's always those little shocking, like, oh, teams have to deal with this in college basketball thing. All right, real quick. We're going to talk to Brian Christopherson. We're going to try and get some little tidbits, some insights when it comes to
BC
fall camp. Here's a question. Let me put this in your head here, okay? Because we're getting closer and closer to prediction season, right? In terms of predicting how many games you think Nebraska is going to win. Okay. And we're about maybe 4 weeks from people having to put down, hey, I think they're going to win 6 games. I would think they're going to win 7 games. And so you're kind of seeing now there's some jockeying going on in terms of like people are setting themselves up to make their predictions in terms of how many wins they think Nebraska football will have. And the reason why I mentioned this before we started talking about coffee in college basketball. Matt Rhule's most important training camp or fall camp of his career. I think this if it's not number one, it has to be up there for him. The reason why I say that is because a lot of guys have to develop. How many guys can you look at currently on this roster and say, you know what, if they stay the same, if they're the same player that they were last year, that they are this year, you're good. You're okay with that. How many players can you say that about with Nebraska football? Maybe 6? Maybe 6 guys?
At most.
Evans, I think you'd say if Justin plays the way he did last, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall, he's going to go from CB2 to CB1, but I thought he was a great CB2. So I'll say that he's fine. If he plays the same, you're going to be okay.
I'll allow
right?
that.
Brendan Black has played a lot of offensive line for Iowa State, Big 12 football. I think if he continues to be a serviceable, you're cool with Brendan Black being the way that he is. Owen Chambliss is a tough one because he's coming from Mountain West football to Big 10 football. There's a jump there. But even like he was so good for San Diego State that even if he's like 90% of that player, I think you're fine there, right? I think the wideouts, the wide receivers, 3 guys had nearly 500 yards. If they all play the same, you're pretty okay, right? You're okay with that. Now we're kind of scraping there. You're getting a little desperate there. Other than that, though, you got a lot of guys that got to get better, right? Like you have a lot of dudes on your team. Like we'll see. The running back room's got to get better, right? We got to see how those guys develop. A lot of talent there. I think there's a lot of talent there, but those guys got to get that experience, right? You don't have a ton of experience there. Those guys have to improve. Calandri's got to play better from what he did the last time he was in the Power 4 to playing now in the Power 4, right? That whole D line, that entire D line room, right, has got to go. They got to go ahead and they got to take a step, right? You look at some guys in the secondary. There's some questions there. We'll see. You want those guys to improve too, right? So that's why I say that this is such an important offseason or fall camp rather for Matt Rhule, because you got a lot of dudes on your team that they have talent and importantly now too, they have experience. That's the one thing that we cannot overlook. Heading into last season, you had a lot of guys who had to kind of guess what having a bigger role in a Big Ten team would be like. Like RVP and Cam Lenart had experience. They had played football, but they hadn't played it in the roles that they were in. They are now entering a year where they had big roles last year. They know what to expect from those big roles. Can they use that experience to help aid them in player development? You have that across the roster now. Same thing with Pritchett. Same thing with Gatula. Same thing with Barney. Same thing with Hunter, right? Same thing with D. Jones. Same thing with Guthrie, right? You got a lot of those guys who had that experience. They can now help them aid that player development. They don't have to guess about that. I think that's important. But you have a lot. You have more dudes than you don't who need to take that next step if they're going to have success this year. That's why I think this offseason, this training, this fall camp is so important. Because there's not as many, hey, they did it last year, they do it this year, you for sure feel good about that. There's not as many of those guys as you would look at across other winning rosters in the Big Ten. Right? You got rosters across Big Ten that they have more of that than you do. So if they have more than that than you do, you got the player development's got to get up, which is why I think this is such an important training camp. But they have other things that are helping them this year that weren't helping them last year. And in particular, the experience and snaps that a lot of those guys gained from last season to this season is one of those big things. We'll talk about that more with Brian Christopherson coming up next here on Middays with Matt.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We are joined by Brian Christopherson of Huskers 24/7. BC, how are you enjoying week 1 of fall camp?
I'm excellent. AC's out in our house, so that's not the most ideal. But, Paul Revere, I think, lived without AC, and he did okay for himself. So not going to complain.
Pretty sure all the founding fathers had to live without AC, right? I mean,
I don't know. He just came to my head. I've been through his little house in the north end of Boston, so that he popped into my brain for whatever reason. I was like, if Paul Revere can do it with like 10 kids in that little house, I can do this.
Yeah. Did you walk the Freedom Trail in Boston?
It was a few years back.
Yeah.
But,
it's a long walk.
So I don't know why that reference came to my mind now, but it did. And so he's inspiring me. But yeah, fall camp's good. It's good that I love this time of year.
You ready to get back into your seat? Row 1, left side, seat 3. You ready to get back in there tomorrow to ask Matt Rhule some questions?
Yeah, we'll get in there. The assigned seat thing is kind of silly that we seem to all gravitate toward in the media room, but I feel like it could just throw chaos, sort of like that old ESPN Y2K commercial where Charlie Steiner's like, follow us to freedom. I feel like if someone gets out of order, that something like that could happen.
Yeah. I feel like if you ever make a podcast, that should be the title of your pod, row 1, seat 3, just be like, that's where BC sits. Any takeaways or so far when, you went to media day, there are a bunch of guys that were talking there, and Isaiah Hunter was speaking. Owen Chambliss was talking. A lot of people were impressed by him. Anthony Calandria, very quick trigger tone, right? I mean, very, very quick to the point in terms of some of the questions he was answering. Justin Evans also spoke. Like, any takeaways from the interviews you've seen with players and anything like that in the first couple of days of fall camp?
Yeah, they've got some high football IQ guys. People hear that all the time, but like if they listen to the interview like Owen Chambliss did, or Jameer Khan for that matter, you would come away with the impression like they've got some guys who can obviously communicate well, and that gives you a fighting shot. I think they probably needed a little bit better version of that than they had a season ago on the field sometimes. And Owen Chambliss, he's a huge guy in this operation. Like that was known when they got him out of the portal. Obviously, with what he did in Orch's defense last year, got to translate to the Big Ten. He knows it's a different level and all that, but he does seem to know the defense inside and out, not just what he's supposed to do, but what everybody else is. And so that, I think, is a big deal. If Nebraska is going to get back to being a top level type program that's fighting amongst the elite in the Big Ten, I think linebackers, one spot where like every year you're going to want to see Nebraska have a guy who's like at least second or third all Big Ten, and offensive line. I think of those two position groups, like that has to become routine again. And so I'm not saying Owen Chambliss is going to be that. I don't know what he's going to translate to at the Big Ten level, but I feel like they made a strong effort to get better there with him and Dexter Foster joining Vincent Shavers. And I'm optimistic about that group cleaning some things up better than they did a season ago.
What do you think the pressure is on this team compared to the pressure on last year's team? Think it's higher? I think it's lower?
I know what, Matt, that's a good question. I think it's often about the same here. Like, I mean, because by the time you get to it, it always matters, I think with the head coach, whenever he gets beyond like year 3 and he's year 4, year 5 type thing, there's probably more pressure in that way. Like if we're honest about it in the business today, where it's like, okay, let's see that win total hike up a bit now. Like, that comes with it. So that for sure. But it's interesting. There's that part, but then it kind of balances out a little bit with this off season. We talk about it all the time. It hasn't been the most chatted about Husker team, probably the least, honestly, that I've covered in my 25 years or whatever. But that flips now. People are going to lean into it and be intrigued with what this team looks like when the season gets here. It's always the case. But there is a pressure in the sense that it's year 4 of the Rhule era. You're renovating your stadium, and some people are going to be out of seats next year, and you're going to have to navigate that. It would be a good time to win some more games, right? Like, I mean, there's that factor. Like, you could sure do yourself a big favor by knocking off someone you're not supposed to. And I think the other part is playing exciting football.
Sure.
They haven't been the most exciting team to watch the last few years. Just take the record aside, so maybe with Calandria and some of the stuff they're going to do on offense, maybe that shifts a little bit. I think that could be useful as well.
How do you balance? Because Rhule has talked a lot about experience. He talked about experience at Big Ten Media Days. You had Dana Holgerson talking on Husker Radio Network yesterday. He was asked, "What do you think about the offense?" He goes, "Well, we're old." A lot has been made about the experience of this team, which go back, Brian, and you look at the rosters that broke out for Matt Rhule at his 2 previous spots where he found a lot of success in Temple and Baylor. Those breakout teams had that experience. How do you balance measuring the experience this team has with also measuring, well, yes, they had experience, but some of that tape didn't look great, right? How do you balance the two between, okay, hey, the tape didn't always look the way that you wanted it to, but this team is now older?
Yeah, well, I think you balance it by saying, guys do have to prove it. Like, good examples are like Cameron Lenhart and Riley Van Poppel are 4th-year players. They're at a position where I think if you look at the history of the D-line position, it does sometimes take guys until their 4th or 5th year to be really, really good. And Ndamukong Suh took a few years to be really good.
Yeah.
That has happened. But the other part of that is, and there's fair reason for skepticism amongst the Husker fan base, I think some people, the narrative around like guys like that is like, I think we know what they're capable of, and I just don't know that they're going to take another step. Don't you? I mean, that's what I get whenever I think people talk about like players like that. They're sort of like, I think I know what he's about. The book's sort of written on him. I hear that probably more than the other way. And so this, I think for them has to be an opportunity to show like that's not the case. And
Sure.
In fact, there have been examples where guys who maybe didn't have, like, as you said, just amazing tape in year 3 or even year 4 busted out. Ty Robinson. It was year 6 when Ty Robinson was like a freak that like other teams had to like game plan around. Like when he was in year 3 and 4, he was still kind of coming where people would say like, yeah, but there's got to be another level, right? And so
Sure.
That's been said about a lot of guys in the trenches. And so that's a long answer from me, but it's to say that like as competitors, they should be excited about this. Whatever's been said about them, fine. Just whatever. Don't, like go show that like now as a 4th, 5th year guy, you're one of those stories, which happens a lot in college football where a guy does make a big move because he's now 21 years old. He understands the speed and everything it takes to play at this level, has built up his body that way. I think it is an advantage to be experienced as a team. That's one of the best things they have going for them on paper. Bill Connolly of ESPN does that all the time. And usually if you look at his experience or his production numbers on returning guys, teams that have it tend to make a jump. That doesn't always happen. And so Nebraska's got to make that a reality. But that is something that is useful for them as they go into this camp, as guys kind of know what to expect and what it's going to take at least.
I think that in the first kind of couple of years, there were goals that the team had, and they went out and they tried to accomplish those goals. And I think overall they did a pretty good job, right? Year 1, I think they were just trying to establish, hey, this is what we got to do, right? Like this is we have to set our culture. We have to build our culture. We got to get our people in the building, and we got to get these guys moving. Year 2, it said, all right, the turnovers and the quarterback was a major, major problem. We got to make sure that the turnovers from the quarterback isn't losing us games. They accomplished that. Year 3, there was really 2 things they solved, which is winning those super close games. 1 close games against Michigan State, Maryland, Northwestern, and special teams, right? They figured out the special teams. Heading into year 4, what would you classify as like the one thing that they really need to fix that they're hyper-focused on getting done?
Red zone. I mean, like finishing, to put it another way, finishing in the fourth quarter, finishing in November, finishing drives. Like you put them all together and it all connects both hands because, I mean, they were last in the country in defense in red zone touchdown percentage last year. I mean, the stat is like, it's ugly. 37 trips, 30 touchdowns for the opponent last season. It was just like, if they're inside the 20, they're going in. They've got to be a group that can turn those into 3-pointers on the other side. You can win in the Big Ten if you have that type of defense where even if you bend a little bit, you keep the explosives in check, and then you stand up tall when they're down at the 12-yard line. That'll win you some games in October. So they got to take that step. Offense, they weren't great in red zone touchdown percentage either. And we can think back to like the Michigan game. They had that great drive to start. They got stuffed on the 4-yard line. Penn State, I mean, they might have got mauled anyway, but who knows if you like go in and score right off the bat on that first drive after Emmett's long run. Didn't do it. So those are the moments where they got to finish. And I think that attaches pretty well to like if they're going to be able to finish in November, because those are the things that are going to decide those games.
One thing that you want to hear from Matt Rhule in front of the podium tomorrow.
That's a good question. I don't know. First off, I don't know how much he can say. Like 3-4 practices in a camp.
Sure.
It's always kind of hard. And he said a lot in Chicago. I just think I like to hear from the head coach at this time of year that there's a good give and take on both sides. Like, I don't usually love it when one side is just dominating. I like when it kind of switches over a little bit. You hear like, oh, the offense had a good day and then the defense came back on Tuesday. So I'd love to hear that sort of is happening, but it might be too early to get too deep into that without the scrimmages and stuff. So, I don't know that it'll go too into detail with that. I think people are going to be curious every time he speaks, though, to hear about the running backs and sort of like how's that playing out, especially with Tyke Hayes now involved in the competition and the interest in Jamal Rhule. And then the cornerback spot, I think people are going to be interested in tracking pretty close week to week opposite Andrew Marshall, like who's sort of, standing out there. But I don't know that tomorrow is going to be the day, if we're honest. Like, a lot of that stuff comes spilling out. It'll probably, and maybe it never will, but it might be a week or two down the road from some of that stuff.
Yeah. It'll be, I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since we've had the Anthony Grant keeps fumbling comments. And then it's been a little bit since we've had one of those. I mean, he's always very honest, and he's always very calculated in what he says, but it'll be interesting to see him get back into the flow of things. He's never talked less at his tenure at Nebraska. He's always been a guy that's been incredibly open in communication. That just hasn't been that way this offseason. And, that's for reasons that it could end up helping them heading into this season. So we shall see.
Yep.
BC?
Yep, no doubt, Matt.
I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you so much as always.
You bet. Thanks.
Brian Christopherson of Huskers 24/7. The odd news coming up next year on Middays with Matt.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
We did not do it yesterday, so a super odd news coming today. This thing has been prepped for 24 hours. This odd news. I'm excited.
Marinating.
It's been ruminating. It's been sitting there, baby. All right, give it to us, Kyle Shotson. What's the odd news today?
Well, a topic that is near and dear to every football guy's heart. They love coming on the radio and telling you that this is the year that Justin Herbert and the Chargers break through and win a million games.
I've pulled back.
You've backed off.
I've backed off a little.
I've shamed you out of this.
No, I did my research and I was like, they play too many teams coming off buys and their schedule's really hard after the first 3 weeks.
Did your research include watching Justin Herbert make out with his fiance, Madison Beer?
Yeah, I saw that.
You can't do this, right?
Well, she's just playing with his wavy surfer hair, you know?
You can't do that, right?
What a great get for Madison Beer. You know, what a catch.
Whoa, okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm kind of stealing the guy, KB No Swag on Barstool. I'm kind of stealing his take. But, I mean, everyone's like, oh, my God, like Justin Herbert, like, look at him wheeling and dealing, getting Madison Beer to marry him. Like, what? Justin Herbert is 6'6".
I feel like
he plays quarterback in LA. In LA, he's, you know, a non-controversial family guy who likes good golf. Like he's got, I don't know. I don't feel like it's very hard for that guy to get women to love him. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I did see her playing with his hair at camp.
They were canoodling on the sidelines at training camp. His job.
But he works. But it wasn't like Harbaugh was running a practice and like he was making out with Beer while he was supposed to be in.
I've never seen anyone's wife at training camp, let alone on the sidelines.
Oh, come on. There have been plenty of wives at training.
I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure things like this have happened too. I've just never seen it.
Maybe Justin needs to do some weird things. Maybe this is the spin zone. He has been too vanilla his entire career, and he's done things by the book too much. Where maybe he does need to have a little bit of a weird relationship to get him going.
I did hear that afterwards, his offensive coordinator asked him,
"You feel the juice? You feel the juice?
Feel the juice, coach? You feel the juice?
You feel the juice?
You feel the juice, coach?"
Yes, I need a new pair of shorts. I'll be right back.
Second story.
Universal Studios. It's a theme park where there's
great theme park,
many rides. We're talking about the one in Hollywood specifically. That's also in California, where our first story took place. Neighbors say riders' screams from Universal Coaster pierced their windows day and night. I had never thought about the horrors of living close to a theme park before.
That's your fault.
Yeah. Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift is a new roller coaster at Universal Studios Hollywood. It's drawing complaints from nearby residents over its noise as the attraction undergoes rehearsals ahead of its official opening. A ride reaches up to 72 miles an hour. The outdoor coaster has brought backlash from neighbors who say screams from test riders echo across the nearby Toluca Lake community. You bought a house in Toluca Lake. You do not want to be bothered with noise.
Toluca Lake sounds like a place that's very expensive to have a house.
Right. A spokesperson for Universal said the venue is actively reviewing sound levels as rehearsals continue, and it values the feedback from nearby residents.
Your mistake thinking we're in America.
Whoa.
This is Brazil. You remember that moment in Fast Five where The Rock and his guys come and try and take down Dom and Connor or whatever. What was the guy's what was Paul Walker's
Brian O'Connor.
Brian O'Connor. God, that was a great movie. I should rewatch that tonight. Fast Five.
Yeah.
Dude.
Watch that bank vault jostle around all over the place.
Gal Gadot's in that movie.
Yeah.
She's incredible in that movie. It's a great performance by her.
Now,
Ludacris is a really good actor.
He's a glue guy for those movies.
Why doesn't Luda do more films?
I'm going to guess because he doesn't have to, but I would like to see him in more things. Yes, I agree.
Luda, he's awesome. He did a freestyle the other day on Instagram. I caught it. It was dope. He's still really good at rapping. All right, final odd news story.
You're a cycling guy.
Yes, I got into the Tour de France this year in order to make conversation with my uncle.
Okay. Well, another scandal has rocked the Tour de France.
Oh, no.
After teams accuse riders of wearing padded bras to gain an advantage.
Oh, just for comfort, probably.
This is the women's Tour de France.
Yeah.
Has become embroiled in controversy as some cyclists accuse others of cheating by wearing padded bras that help with aerodynamics. Quickly implemented brassiere checks. Yeah, I bet they did. To make sure no cheating was going on as the third leg of the race continued.
People are mad about aerodynamic breasts?
It would seem so, yes.
Wow.
Racers try to get an advantage everywhere they can, even if the gain might seem negligible to the rest of the world. As such, some female cyclists have used bras that make their bosoms rounder to aid in the aerodynamics of their bodies as they race. The practice is called chest fairing. A top racer could add a few seconds to their total time in a race. Group rule prohibits the use of padding or accessories that modify the morphology of a cyclist. Careful. This isn't the W, okay? Some teams have called for an official response to the allegations.
Yeah. I'll say this. If the Tour de France is looking for breast inspectors at their next batch of races, I don't think they'll have any shortage of volunteers.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think that Josh and I will actually start making our resumes to help. We just want to solve this problem. You and I just love cycling.
What kind of experience do you have in this field?
In breast inspecting?
Yeah.
You know what? I like to think that I'm probably in the 200 level classes of breast inspection.
Interesting.
You know, I think I think there definitely is another level I could go to, but I feel like I have the prerequisite experience to help the Tour de France. This is for cycling, guys. I only love cycling. Let's take a break. I love football. We'll continue talking about that more here.
He's from the third largest village in the world, Skokie, Illinois. Middays with Matt on 1620, The Zone.
We are joined by a special guest for now, but he will become a regular guest during the college football season. The writer, creator, publisher of Pick Six Previews, the number one most accurate college football preview running, baby. Woo! Brett Ciancia, very generous to give us his time today and during the season. Brett, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me on. Yeah, best time of year over here at Pick Six Previews with the 2026 edition rolling off the printing press, shipping across the country. Excited to be on with you, breaking down some Big Ten, some Huskers, and really excited to be on Fridays again this fall.
It's going to be a good time. You're right. We're going to break down some Big Ten today, but I actually have an ACC question for you to start. All right. I'm keeping you on your toes here. We're going to talk plenty about the Big Ten, though, a little bit later. But, you know, Tosh Lupoi comes in at Cal. Cal has the 14th highest ranked transfer portal this cycle. They have the third highest in the ACC. They got JKS, who talk about some really impressive sophomore quarterbacks this year. Bear Bachmeier along with Malik Washington in Maryland, but JKS up there for Cal. Lupoi comes in. He's from the Saban, the smart tree. Very creative with the defensive game, and then you have this very, very talented quarterback, and they bring in a bunch of really talented wide receiver from multiple conferences across the country. Your expectations from Cal, and do you think there's any concern when it comes to JKS that this, his stop at Cal just might be kind of a holding period for him to eventually transfer to a power, a more reputable a team in college football, whether it be in the SEC or the Big Ten?
Yeah, well, I think first off with the hire, I think it's a nice hire. He's fired up to be there. I had a chance to talk to him this preseason, and yeah, he's fired up to be back at his alma mater, and he's not taking any excuses either. I know the Cal has had some struggles recently with recruiting and transfers and budget and all those kind of things, but he came in right away and landed, like you mentioned, a top 15 transfer haul in the country. Really impressive at a place like Cal, given their history. And he put his recruiting chops to work right away because, to your point, he flew right out to JKS's house in Hawaii and convinced him to stay. I mean, that was going to be one of the prized possessions of the whole transfer portal 2026 class. So to keep JKS there, that's huge for this program. That's a game changer for his transitional year. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, I think. He's got a huge arm, and he's going to make a big big step from year one to year two as a starter. So you got that. You got a great receiver room around him. Offensive line's a question for me. They really struggled last year statistically, looking at run, push, and pass protection. They bring 4 starters back, but it's one of those cases where is returning starters a good thing or a bad thing? I think they're at least better. We'll say they're at least veteran. And then, yeah, he's a defensive mind. He comes from, like you said, Lanning and Saban and Smart, and a lot of transfers from the Power 4 coming to this defense. So that side's a mystery for me. If it clicks on defense to pair with JKS, this team can make some noise. And, yeah, I think the JKS, your other question about transfer portal, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, You guys out in Nebraska learned that, and other schools learned that this offseason, where you think you have a star quarterback, face of the program, all of a sudden it all changes, for good and for bad. You know what I mean? So it's unpredictable in the transfer market.
One of the best coaching jobs that I think you and I can agree with that has happened over the last couple of years is Brett Bielema and Illinois. And obviously he had the success in the Big Ten at Wisconsin. He goes to Arkansas. It doesn't pan out the way, obviously, that he wanted to, eventually, being let go. But a couple years off, comes back to Illinois in 2021. And now last 2 seasons, 2 bowl wins, 19 wins over 2 years. Never happened before at Illinois. But this season, very interesting, right? They lose a ton. Altmaier, Yakas, most of their front 7 is gone. A lot of their offensive line is gone. And this is something that they kind of experienced in 2022, which was what really kicked off this run that Illinois had, where they had Devon Witherspoon and DeVito and Martin and both Sidney and Chase Brown. And then they end up losing, or they end up going 5-7 the year after, losing all of those guys, right? And then eventually they win 19 games in 2 seasons. Do you view this season for Illinois Do you just have so much trust that Bielema is going to keep it going, or do you think it'll be more like 2023 where they take a step back because they just lost so much from a really good roster?
Yeah, I think it's he's done a phenomenal job there. First off, you think back to the Lovie Smith days before him, it was a brutal program. So I think he's done an excellent job. He's got them up to the upper middle tier of the conference most years. But yeah, I see a step back season for sure. And you look at the big senior class that helped to lead the change the last couple of years. They're all graduated and gone. Luke Altmaier, he was like a cheat code in one-score games and close games at the end. I mean, he got them out of a lot of jams and won a lot of one-score games. So,
Yeah.
They're going to have to replace him. And then what else? The defensive scheme, a massive change over there, where you go from your 4-2-5, a very successful scheme for them, now bringing in Bobby Hawk, the Montana head coach, to bring his defense there, bringing a 3-3-5. So that's why you saw such an exodus of players transfer out along the defensive line. They're built for a four-man front, and they all left. So they are reloading in the trenches and scheme-wise. So I see them taking some steps back. I've got them 10th in the conference.
Let's talk about another team of the Big Ten that loses a lot, but you trust their coaching staff in Iowa. Great stats from you on Pick 6 previews. 11 of their top 14 tacklers depart for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They had 8 defenders earn all Big Ten honors the Hawkeyes did last year. 7 of them are gone, along with a record 7 draft picks to the NFL from a Hawkeye team that lost so many close games to high-quality opponents. Iowa State, you could argue they were at their peak when they lost to them by 3, lost to Indiana by 5, lost to Oregon in a thriller, a Kinnick, a collapse against USC. I mean, this Iowa team had a real opportunity to make the college football playoff last year. They lose a lot of those guys, but once again, the question's kind of the same with Bielema as it is with Kirk Ferentz. You just trust this Iowa team so much with their history that despite the fact that they're losing a ton of their production last year, do you still trust that they'll have a good season this year in Iowa City?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the same old Iowa formula. Now, it's going to be a lot more new faces than we're used to seeing from them, but you've got the most important one with Phil Parker, their defensive coordinator, coming back, and he continues to lead top 10 defenses 6 times the last 8 years, 6 out of 8 top 10 teams, top 10 defenses. Impressive again. They were number 1 pass defense for me last year. A lot of guys gone, but still a lot of stars returning. Zach Lutmer for sure on the defense there, and what they call their cash position, the nickelback spot. He's going to be solid again for them. Should be all conference. And then offensive line, they went out and won the Joe Moore Award last year for the top O line. They do lose 3 guys, but the 2 coming back are All-American candidates themselves with Trevor Locke and Kate Pieper.
Yeah,
a lot to like from them. So it's just your usual Iowa. Big O-line, a proven coordinator is going to give you a tough defense, and we'll see about the quarterback. We'll see about quarterback and receiver. Those are questions I've got, but I have them still in the top 25 until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe play. Are you worried at all that LeVar Woods, their highly heralded special teams coordinator, one of, if not the best special teams coordinator, now no longer with them? Does that give you any hesitancy when it comes to their effectiveness of special teams, which has been the bread and butter for the Hawkeyes?
Yeah, that's the question for sure. I mean, Iowa has been special teams the last couple of years, last 10 years, really. It's helped them win so many of those close games and one-score decisions. I think they've probably got such a solid system in place that they'll be okay for this transitional year. And I think it's something that Ferentz really, really puts a lot of emphasis on, and they're going to be fine. So I think that it's going to be your usual Iowa formula there.
We'll continue with the theme where I'm just going to ask you about teams the Huskers play and see what you think. Look, you know this. We've talked. I grew up in not too far away from Evanston. My father was a Northwestern graduate, so grew up watching a lot of Northwestern football. And my entire life of Northwestern football has been involved with Pat Fitzgerald. And so to see him in East Lansing is very strange to me. And I'd love to get your perspective as someone who's seen him from a national light more so than a local light to me. Do you think he'll be able to come in to MSU and turn things around real quickly and get them to be competitive in the Big Ten? Or do you think this is going to be a longer process, Brett Ciancia?
Yeah, I'm really looking towards 2027 for them to really see how they look. I think that this is really a transition year for them. Love the hire. At Michigan State last cycle, they went with a West Coast guy, Jonathan Smith, and Oregon State former quarterback, and tried to bring some West Coast style to Michigan State. It didn't click. So what do? They go hire the opposite. They go back to the Big Ten roots. Mr. Big Ten himself with Pat Fitzgerald, a guy who is a nasty linebacker for Northwestern, then a head coach. 2 Big Ten division titles for him, 9 winning seasons at Northwestern. Probably their golden age of football, honestly, if you look long-term at Northwestern's history. So you got a winner. He won the opening press conference, too. He talked about how toughness was built at Michigan State, all these kind of buzzwords, and it really got everyone fired up. So I think it's going to take a couple years, honestly, and we're going to see if his big gamble paid off. This transfer portal, he signed almost exclusively from the FCS and the non-AQ tier. So that's going to determine if they can make a bowl or not, whether those guys can make the jump from the lower tier to the Big Ten. So I don't think so for 2026. I love it going forward beyond that. We'll see how he does recruiting and transfer going forward. I think it's a solid hire. You know what you're getting with him. It's going to be a solid, competent team.
You know, Washington, the Huskies, they come and play in Lincoln this season, and they were full of controversy with Damon Williams signing the contract and entering the transfer portal. Eventually comes back to Washington. But you look at this Huskies team, it's a little weird, especially on the offensive end, because you got Denzel Boston, 2nd round draft pick, playing great right now, by the way, in Cleveland. All the reports coming out of Cleveland that Boston is killing it at Brown's training camp. But they also lost Jonah Coleman, who was an incredibly effective running back in the Big Ten. But great metric here from your Pick Six previews in terms of your run push analytic, right? How much push off the line are our offensive lines getting? Washington's offensive line improved 50 spots from 2024 to 2025 in your run push metric. They bring back 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, and that 5th spot might be filled by a 5-star offensive tackle, despite losing some key pieces around from a weapons perspective. Does the fact that you have continuity on the offensive line for Washington give you more trust that they can replace some of those guys they lost to the draft?
Oh, yeah, that's massive. They made a huge gain, like you said. Bring 4 starters back from the O-line. You bring your star quarterback, Damon Williams. I know there was some drama there, but now that we're all the way here into August, I think that's hopefully behind them. And this is really a dark horse Heisman candidate. I think he checks in at 60-1. That's worth a lottery ticket. You know what I mean? I think that he's really a playmaker. The way he scrambles around the field, he's lightning in a bottle. He actually put up a 400-yard passing and 100-yard rushing combined game, a 500-plus. That never happens. I think it's the 16th ever in FBS history. So when this guy gets loose, he's incredible. The thing that's going to have to separate for Washington is his performance, Damon Williams, against the better teams. Of course, quarterbacks struggle against better opponents. That's not rocket science. But when you look at against the easier teams, he threw 22 touchdowns to 2 picks, 22-2. Against the losses, the teams they lost to, the ranked games, it was 3 touchdowns, 6 picks. So he's got to improve against the top teams, at least be competent there. But love their offensive line, love him at quarterback, love the linebackers. There's so many guys, I couldn't even fit them all onto the page there, overflowing with talent. So I like this team, a solid top 20 team for me.
Yeah, a very, very sneaky team last year too. Had some pretty competitive games against some of the better teams in the country. All right, dude, every time you come on, Brett, I feel like you and I can talk for 2 hours. But we'll save. We got through a couple teams that the Huskers will play this season. Next time you come on, we'll get through more of them. I'm not going to ask you about Dylan Raiola. Don't worry about it. I want to ask you about though another quote that came across the college football Twitter sphere. What do you think about Kyle Whittingham saying there's no room for hate in Michigan versus Ohio State? Do you think that was a misstep by him?
Yeah, I think you got to kind of lean into the rivalry a little bit. I don't know about that. That's too friendly. I think you want the passion. Maybe don't go so far as saying hate, but like you want to fire up the passion.
Sure.
So I don't know about that. And that's coming from a really bitter rivalry he's used to with Utah BYU. I mean,
I know
they're at each other 365 days a year in their personal lives, in their on Twitter, on social media, football, basketball, whatever the sport. So like I think that's even a bigger like bitter rivalry amongst those people. So he's used to that. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a misstep. On the other side of the spectrum was the way too much firepower coming in from the new Purdue AD. I don't know if you saw that quote. He was talking about how, if you want to win championships, you got to come to Purdue. Don't go to Indiana. They don't win titles there. Like, dude, read the room. I mean, Indiana just went 16-0 in football.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got to find a balance. That was a weak quote by Whittingham, but then way too strong coming in from the Purdue guy.
Yeah, you definitely do have to balance things out. I wonder how quickly that got on Indiana's bulletin board with Curt Cignetti. I don't think it took too long to stick that thing up. Brett Ciancia, you're going to be joining us all college football season long. I'm fired up for it, man. You're the best at what you do. You proved it in this interview. Me jumping across the country and you knocking out all these questions. Can't wait to talk to you throughout the season, my friend.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you as always. Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews, the #1 college football preview running for the last decade in college sports. Incredible. Did he see? I mean, look, I'm going to 6 different teams. This guy's breaking down everything left, right, and center. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there was no like, oh, hold on, Matt. Let me
flip through.
Let me turn to that page.
Dude, the information that guy has. And if you make your own analytics, I will respect you so quickly. Like if you just go, hey, this is my analytic that I created, that is the quickest way for me being like, you're awesome, you're sick. He's created like 5 of them in this Pick Six preview. So don't forget to go to pick6previewplus.com or pick6preview.com in order to pick up your copy. My hard copy is coming in over the next couple of days, so I'm very excited about that. I have the PDF right now, which is fine. You just go look everything up and search through everything. We have not talked about Nebraska's page yet on this show from Brett Ciancia. We will do that eventually. He does have them ranked as the 37th team in the country. So he thinks it's going to be a transition year for Illinois. Illinois is only ranked 1 spot behind Nebraska in the ranking. So that kind of goes to show that Brett necessarily isn't the highest on the Huskers. I will say this, though, about Illinois. Like, Iowa deserves the head coach treatment, the look at what they've done in the past treatment. They deserve that. Like, you just, at this point with Kirk Ferentz, now, granted, LeVar Woods being gone, it's interesting because I think you can be, LeVar's been there for so long and they have all those systems and those systems are Iowa's and it's there. So I don't think you're worried about the strategy going away, but not having his presence in special teams will be interesting. Also losing Caden Weegen, go Reavers. Having him no longer, I mean, he was literally the best return man in the country the last 2 seasons. And he was dynamic, not only when he had the ball, but how he affected whether or not teams would punt to him, right? I mean, the amount of invisible yards that Caden Weegen gained for Iowa because teams just wanted to avoid him is absolutely, like, you can't put a number to it. And I think you saw that in the Nebraska-Iowa game. But I think with Iowa, they deserve the whole, okay, they're losing 11 of their top 14 tacklers and they're losing, you know, they lost their special teams coordinator and they lost 7 NFL draft picks. But I think they've just done this so much where they just have their system, they have their coaches, they have their identity that you can't doubt them, that even despite the fact they lose all of that, that they won't be able to reload and be able to be a smash mouth, hard nosed, disciplined football team that wins in the margins. You can't doubt that. I don't feel like Illinois has earned that same respect yet. Like I think with Iowa, you can go down the list and say they lost this, they lost that, they lost this, they lost that. And yet I'm still going to be nervous about them. Like, I'm still going to be like, hey, you can't overlook them because Kirk's been doing this for a very long time now, where it's just like, oh, you don't think I was great? Oh, no, they get you, right? That's been their thing. Where with Illinois, I'm not there yet with them. Like, I'm not willing to give Brett that same respect as the Illinois head coach. I'm not there yet. Okay, I'm not, because they had this happen to them already. In 2022, Chase Brown got drafted by the Bengals. Sidney Brown got drafted by the Eagles. Tre'Tavious Martin went in the top 3 rounds. They had Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. He was playing quarterback for them. You know, like, they lost a ton of their guys from 2022 to 2023, and they won 5 games in 23. The reason why we give, 2-year stats for Illinois and not 4-year stats for Illinois is because of that 1 year where there was a team who went to Champaign on a Friday who beat them. That was Nebraska. I look at this Illinois team. I look at them kind of the same. They lost Hank Beatty. He was their top guy. They lost their quarterback, Luke Altmaier. They lost their stud defensive lineman in Gabe Yakas. They went ahead. They lost like their entire offensive line and even their front seven's like depleted. I mean, it's just like they've lost so much from last year to this year, where I'm willing to say with Iowa, yeah, I believe that they're good because they've just done it so many times, where the one time that Illinois has faced something like this, where they went ahead and they lost a ton of talent and brought in a new quarterback, they only won 5 games. So I think that some people look at that Illinois game and go, wow, Illinois has been good the last 2 years, and Brett Bielema is just a Big Ten coach's Big Ten coach, if you know what I mean, where they go, oh, away Illinois, that's a loss. Like, I think I look at that Illinois game and I go, I think Illinois is closer to being 2023 Illinois than they are being 2025 or 2024 Illinois. And I think this Nebraska team is much better now than what they were in 23. I think anybody around the program would tell you that. Anyone, I mean, you cannot sit up here with a straight face, even if you don't like Matt Rhule, and tell me that this team isn't better than the one in 23. They are a lot better than the one in 23. So when I get to, we get to prediction season and we start talking about like the games we think Nebraska will win, the games we think Nebraska will lose, like I'm probably going to be on the short end of the straw here, or probably in the minority, where I think that there are some games that people mark off as auto wins actually kind of scare me a little bit more than the Illinois game. I'm out. I'm kind of out on them, which maybe I'll live to regret it. Like maybe this might be Georgia Notre Dame 2.0.
Oh no.
Like, I feel very strongly in the fact that I'm not putting a ton of stock. Captain's in the chat. What's up, Captain? Great to see you, my man. He goes, Iowa special teams coach is now the Michigan State special teams coach. Yeah, LeVar Woods, I think got an associate head coach, associate assistant coach title with that going to Michigan State. Kenneth Williams also went to Michigan State. Scott Docterman, when he made his Big Ten all Big Ten preseason teams, Ja'Cory Barney was first team all special teams. Do you know who was second team all special teams? Kenneth Williams. Oh. He's now playing for Michigan State. I agree with Brett. This is a transition year for Fitz. I will say this, though. Have you seen Fitz's videos on Twitter of him firing up his team in team meetings?
No.
They're so good. They're so good. I'd be fired up for Michigan State football if I saw Pat Fitzgerald talking at my team meetings. But they're not very talented right now. All right, let's hit a break. Let's talk about NFL quarterbacks. And then we will speak to Austin Jacobsen at 1 o'clock and balls coming up at 1:20 here on Middays with Matt.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Matt, I've just noticed your shirt.
Yeah, I was waiting.
It's a 2006 AFC West, at the time, San Diego Chargers Division Championship t-shirt. I wish I had known that when we were talking about Justin Herbert making out with his fiance on the sidelines of training camp.
All right. I love division championship shirts. Can't tell you why. I just love them. I have from 2015 and 2016, the shirts that I wear for the Chicago Cubs are not World Series shirts. I wear their division title shirts. When the Bears won the NFC North Division title this year, what did I buy? A shirt and a hat to commemorate that division title. Yeah. I have a 2010 and 2018 Chicago Bears division championship t-shirt. I actually have a Chicago Blackhawks 2013 President's Cup shirt. Okay. I love, look, winning your division matters and it's great, but it also isn't like you're not freaking out about it, which is why it's kind of niche and I love it. So when I went to a vintage store and I saw that I could have the 2006 San Diego Chargers NFC West Division Championship shirt, it was the easiest buy I've had at one of those places.
The Chargers went 14-2 that season, ended the regular season on a 10-game win streak.
Yeah.
Number 1 seed in the AFC. Let's see. They lost their first playoff game to the Patriots.
That's tough. What is that? Was that the LT 21 touchdown year?
Good question. Let's take a look.
He had that one year where he had all those, the insane amount of touchdowns. My ball knowledge isn't helping me. I don't remember how many.
Oh, man. Got to scroll through the game by game.
No, you don't.
Stats.
Here, I'll go
Awards,
to LaDainian Tomlinson stats.
He was good.
He was so good. But we feel like we don't talk about him enough. Don't you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the year. 2006 was the year where he won AP Offensive Player of the Year. In 2006, he had 28 touchdowns. He rushed for 1,815 yards. He also, that season in 2006, had 508 receiving yards. He had 2,323 yards from scrimmage that season in 2006. He led the league in rushing yards per game at 113.4 rushing yards. Insane. Now, the LaDainian Tomlinson I unfortunately know was, as an 8-year-old kid, was the one on the New York Jets in 2010.
Oh, no, man.
That was my first LaDainian Tomlinson memories.
Well, that sucks because I remember him at TCU.
Welcome to Middays with Matt. That is the dichotomy. Imagine leaning into that dichotomy of having two people who are very different in age. A wild concept.
We're like the odd couple, but, good.
So he had 145 touchdowns in his career. Would you like to ponder a guess as to how many games LaDainian Tomlinson started?
He had how many touchdowns?
145 touchdowns. How many games could LaDainian Tomlinson, see, that's a tough name for
it. Is
a lot of N's and T's in that name, and that's was actually just one T. Anyway, too many N's. LaDainian Tomlinson, how many touchdowns could he have in 155 games started?
120.
He had 145 touchdowns in 155 games started.
Oh, okay.
He almost had a touchdown a game in his career. And in 2006, the shirt in which I'm wearing, where they won the AFC West, he nearly had 2 touchdowns a game. That has to be up there with one of the greatest fantasy football seasons of all time, no? 2,300 total scrimmage yards, 28 touchdowns, and 56 receptions. If you're in a full PPR league, doing quick math, he had 230 points straight off of yards, 130 points off of receptions, and then another 50 points off of TDs.
This is according to fantasypros.com.
Oh, this a great source. Fantasy Pros is awesome, actually.
First thing that came up when I Googled top 10 fantasy football running back seasons ever. Number 1, 2006 LaDainian Tomlinson.
Easily.
28.32 points per game.
Oh, my God.
That is 2.5 points higher per game.
Oh, wait. Don't say who the other one is.
Uh-huh.
Is the next one, I have to get the year. Is the next highest running back, is it Adrian Peterson 2013?
It is not. Adrian Peterson, surprisingly not on this list.
Really? His MVP season, he wasn't one of the best fantasy football seasons of all time? Who's second? Wait, I got to think about this. Second best running back. Oh, Blue Jays got a good one. Saquon 2024. Did he catch the ball enough?
Not in the top 10.
Yeah, you got to catch the ball a lot out of the backfield. So you got to go with the running back. Is it recent? Is it recent?
It is recent.
Is it Christian McCaffrey 2023?
Less recent than that, but you do have the player correct.
Oh, so C-Mac when?
19.
19. Yeah, it had to be C-Mac. That's a guy this year for you fantasy football players out there. I don't know when to draft him because they now call it the curse of the 370. When a running back has 370 total touches, typically his production the next season after having that many touches the year before drops drastically. C-Mac hit that point, so people are off of him. But if he's healthy again this year, there's no doubt he's going to be one of the best 3 fantasy football players this season. It's a problem that people are having in the community. C-Mac 19 was second.
Platcat did guess the 3rd most prolific fantasy football season from a running back, Priest Holmes in 2003.
Nice. What's 4 and 5?
Number 4 is LT again from 2003. Number 5, Emmitt Smith from 1995.
Whoa.
I don't know if I'm sure people were playing back then, but maybe they went back and calculated it.
I guarantee you. Okay. All right. Over under 2001 is Michael Severe's first fantasy football season.
I'll say he was playing before 2001. Yes.
When was the first season you played fantasy football?
That's a great question and a great person to ask.
I mean, Severe, without a doubt, was playing fantasy football before computers.
Yeah. Yes.
With and was going through the newspaper box score in Louisiana, like of whatever the New Orleans paper is. He was the guy. I guarantee you that Michael Severe might have been one of the first 1,000 fantasy football commissioners in the country, which would be a great claim, by the way.
It would.
If you were like starting fantasy football in 1997, you could be like, I was one of the first 100 fantasy football commissioners in the nation. And I don't think who's going to dispute you about that. You know, no one. We can't look that up. We can't figure that out. Can't do that. Great job there, LT. Kind of.
So, long story short, nice shirt.
Thank you, John from Salina. What's up, John?
Hi, John.
We started fantasy football in 1987.
Whoa, it's just I'm impressed by it.
From the 402.
Hi, 402.
Matt, you inspired me today.
Wow.
Well, we try and do it all the time, my friends. He goes, I went out to lunch today and I grabbed myself a cherry Coke. It was delicious.
Whoa.
Yes, it was. John, our favorite friend, John with no H.
Hi, John, no H.
Nobody cares about football Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, no. I mean, somebody out there does care about it. I don't know who.
Okay, wait. John from Salina goes, we started our fantasy football in 1987. I have a response from Michael Severe.
Oh, okay.
Now knowing what you know, we started fantasy football in 1987. When do you think Michael Severe started fantasy football?
86. I don't
1988. I'm asking him if he was commissioned. Here's what he wrote. Here's what Michael wrote. It wasn't online yet. Yeah, no duh, Michael. We did it on paper and over the phone, so I was actually in basic training having to get my information sent back for waiver pickups.
Whoa!
Michael was serving our country and taking.
Just a minute, Sarge.
Sir, yes, sir.
12 o'clock is 12 o'clock. I got to get this in
real quick. Is Roger on the waiver wire? All right, pick him up, and then dang it, McMahon got hurt today. Now pick up Flutie. Get Flutie on the waiver wire. He goes, I was actually in basic training, having to get my information sent back for waiver pickups. Every Monday morning, I used to run to the other side of the base to get the USA Today so I could do the scoring.
Wow.
I asked him if he was the commish. John from Salina, we had to pull all the stats from the newspaper. I know that. I'm aware of that. He goes, I handle the scoring. Another guy handled the waiver wire stuff. I guess we were like split commissioners. We really didn't use the word commissioner. That I remember until around 94 when we finally moved to using Sandbox in 95. From the 402.
I just saw this text. Please read it.
I know a guy that is still in a computerless fantasy league. It is weird as hell. Why would you do that?
They make it pretty easy. Like
it's the easiest thing ever.
I don't play fantasy football, but it's pretty easy now.
What
with the apps and the internet?
I know a guy who still uses a rotary phone.
Wow.
I know a guy who still uses a well to get his fresh water.
That's the reason, right? Just to say you're in a computerless fantasy. Like that's
I still know a guy who uses a horse and buggy to get around. What? Why are you still in a computer? That makes no sense. I want to be inefficient so I can brag about being inefficient is one of the worst brags you can make.
Oh, you use a computer for yours? Okay. Amateur.
Now we got the weirdos in the chat with Blue Jay going, that's passion. And PC going, we did offline drafts for like 3 years. I do remember when my dad showed up to a fan. We were 2010. This is obviously the internet was around, but like laptops, like portable laptops were becoming like more of the norm, right? In like 2008, 2009. So we go to a fantasy football draft in 2010. And dad sits down and he's used to like, one guy having a computer. You then saying what your pick is, and then the guy types in the pick to the computer, right? Dad shows up to the draft. Everybody has computers except for us. And he's like, what is going on? What is this? I kid you not, Josh. A week later, we bought a laptop because my dad was like, all right, everyone's got them. Everyone in the fantasy football league's got it. We got to do it. This is how we have to handle it.
I'm behind.
Seriously. We're behind in tech. We had a computer at home. We had a computer all the way back like 2004 or 5, like since I could remember. But we didn't have a laptop until like 2011, 12. Like then it was a long time coming for that. All right, let's hit a break. And we were going to talk about quarterbacks in the last segment until my shirt derailed everything. Let's go ahead and talk about it next here on Middays with Matt.
Family Man Josh Hodson. Family Man Matt Mc... You're kidding me, right? They want me to read this? Okay. Family Man Josh Hodson. Family Man Matt McMahon. I'm sorry, there's just no way I'm going to get through this. You're listening to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, we've been taking texts all day from the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline / text line 402-951-1620. We also love taking your emails from the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Equitable Bank, they take banking personally. Shout out to old man Doug and Equitable Bank, man. 15 years in Omaha. Congratulations to them celebrating it this Saturday. Doug has been such an incredible a sponsor for this radio station, such an incredible support system for this radio station. We love having him on when he calls in. We love taking his calls. For me personally, Doug has been awesome in terms of welcoming me to Omaha. I've had so many great individuals say, hey, welcome to the city. If you need anything, let me know. And Doug has been one of those top people for me. So we want to shout out Doug, shout out Equitable Bank in terms of the great accomplishments. So once again, congratulations to those guys. 15 years here in Omaha. Doug, you're the best. Also, too, we've been going on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Pesky Blues, shout out. Liquid Trucking, appreciate their support of us as well. All right, let's talk real quickly. Austin Jacobsen, he's at the Pinnacle Bank Championship, so we'll talk to Austin live from Indian Creek Golf Course in just about 10 minutes. Before we get there, there's been a quarterback topic in the NFL that I wanted to get to over the last couple of days. The Athletic released their quarterback tiers. It's been going on for about 12, 13 years now where, they have 50 different executives / coaches come in, vote on the polls, head coaches, DCs, OCs, GMs, assistant GMs, you name the likes, who then go and rank quarterbacks. And there was a couple that were very interesting to me in terms of where they ranked on the tiers. Tier 2 was absolutely loaded, but it was headlined by somebody who were used to being in Tier 1, Lamar Jackson, according to executives and head coaches and assistant coaches, drops from Tier 1 to Tier 2. The main quote is really just the concern about his rushing production slipping. Here's a quote from an anonymous opposing head coach. Quote, I'm not sure how much he wants to run and take hits anymore. He can't be special without the threat of a run. I think he needs to be more active when he does run. It used to be he would go and outrun you. Now he kind of goes, but he's not always moving with a purpose. Lamar Jackson has 1,081 rushing attempts in his career. Last season, his rushing rate dropped nearly half. He only ran 7.1%. It's always been above 10% in his career, along with his designed rushes. I mean, there were just times where the Baltimore Ravens would run a designed rush and say, no, we're not going to do that anymore. Lamar doesn't want to. I don't disagree necessarily with the statement that Lamar can't be special without running. He's still a really good pocket passer, and I think that his rushing ability has always made him an underrated pocket passer. You go and look at his stats, but I just got to start wondering with him. 3 of the last 5 years, he's missed 4 more games. Is the tread running out of the tires? This is a guy that plays a very punishing position and does not help, has never helped himself in terms of avoiding injury, avoid taking hits. Granted, he's a 2-time MVP, has been one of the best quarterbacks of this decade. That's how he plays, right? So I'm not knocking him for playing the way that he plays, but I don't think it's unfair at all to ask the question, are we starting the downturn of Lamar Jackson's, career just because there's a lot of miles, right, on him in terms of, he's already in his career the number 1 leading rusher in quarterbacks in NFL history. Something to watch for the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're an interesting team. Pretty manageable schedule for the Ravens this season. 2 quarterbacks, same division I want to quickly talk about. Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. Jordan Love is an awesome quarterback from an analytical and even vanilla stat perspective. Number 2 in EPA behind Drake May last season, top 5 in QBR amongst quarterbacks last season. He's been turned into this he turns the ball over a lot. You look at his rates, they're pretty low in terms of his interception rate and turnover rates. It's just the guy, when he turns the ball over, makes the most silliest back-breaking decisions you'll ever see. It's almost like he has a glitch sometimes when he turns the ball over. But I just think for him, first off, being a quarterback wearing the Packer jersey after the 2 guys who came before you is really tough because we have such a high expectation of what Green Bay quarterback play looks like. He's just not a guy, and they say it here, they doubt his killer instinct in this article by The Athletic. And for me, it's like when Aaron Rodgers held the ball, when Peyton Manning held the ball, when Tom Brady held the ball, when Pat Mahomes held the ball against a team I was rooting for, I was scared. I was really scared about what they were going to do and how they were going to affect the team I wanted to win. I don't feel that way with Jordan Love yet, but I definitely don't think you can deny that he is just an incredibly effective and high-level quarterback in the NFL. Just when he messes up big time. Real quick, last quarterback before we take a break, talk to AJ of Herd at Sports. Caleb Williams, I'm buying more stock in him. And I know people like Mike Schaefer, and they make the jokes and whatever, 58% completion percentage. This guy was a super effective quarterback and a winning quarterback while being inefficient, okay? He held the ball for 3.09 seconds per snap, per passing play last year. He was number one in the NFL in a new system that makes him do things that he's never done before in his career. I think one more year under Ben Johnson and this year under Ben Johnson, him being more efficient, him being quicker, him making better decisions, his stock is only going to rise. He's killing it. He's killing it right now in training camp with the Bears. I'm not shocked by it. I think Caleb's going to have a big year. Take a break. Talk to Austin Jacobsen about Haynes King here on Middays with Matt.
He's from the third largest village in the world, Skokie, Illinois. Middays with Matt on 1620, The Zone.
Friends are valuable in life. What's life without friends? So what's life without people that you enjoy the company of? And we bring in somebody who I thought was my friend. I thought I would often enjoy the company of them, but I found out what his true colors were yesterday when he relentlessly made fun of me over my under bet that actually ended up getting doubled during the Hall of Fame game yesterday. We bring in Austin Jacobsen, notable
They don't
Carolina
give you points for that, by the way.
No, they don't. Notable Carolina Panthers fan, Austin Jacobsen, who wanted to rub in me doubting his quarterback, joins us here on Middays with Matt. AJ, go ahead.
Well, I've been told that there was, a lot of rallies, a lot of things going on in this country, and I thought it was very important that I come out here and I make a political stance that there is only one king left, and it is Haynes King for the Carolina Panthers.
What's it with you and you make political statements and you're running for Congress half the time when you're on the show? Last time you tried pitting me against teachers unions. I don't know why you felt like you needed to do that.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you're trying to pit this against me when clearly you hate public school. You only support private because you're from the third largest village in the Chicago area. What was it? Skokie? Whatever it is. It's nowhere close to, the grand mecca of Texas high school football where Haynes King was bred and born and rebirthed to become one of the nation's greatest quarterbacks. Haynes King, our God, our GOAT, our king.
Our God? You're calling him a god after he won the Hall of Fame game?
Did you see he walked off the Hall of Fame game? He didn't
did.
even say, let's go for the tie, coach. He said, no, you didn't. You know why? Because when I called you last night and you hung up on me, you asked what the final score was because you were playing tetherball or something like that with your friends.
I wasn't playing tetherball. I was playing NASCAR. Yeah, I watched my
Carson.
Wow. First off, I watched Carson Beck. I actually was going to watch the players who might actually start for NFL teams one day. That's what I was there to watch, all right? I wasn't there to watch guys who highlights of their career is going to be the Hall of Fame game. I was there to watch people who might make an impact in the league one day in a regular season capacity, and that's why I watched all of Carson Beck's passes, and then he got taken out of the game, and I go, my job here is done.
Interesting. So you'd rather hang out with Sloth Boy Carson Beck than Haynes King, the winner of the first game of the 2026 NFL season? Sounds like a loser mentality. Why don't you just go take your Cardinals out of here and just go sit somewhere else, huh?
Oh, you're calling them my Cardinals? No. I don't want that team to be associated with my name.
Well, they were the Chicago Cardinals first, weren't they? Don't you support your local programs? I thought you were pro-Chicago.
There's nothing loyal about Scottsdale, Arizona to me. I appreciate you, though, trying to make
You also know they're not in Scottsdale. They're in Glendale, but that's very close.
You know what?
I know those
Glendale,
really,
Scottsdale, Glenn Powell, Norman Powell. Who cares? It's all the same. It's all a dry heat.
Oh, no wonder you're a private school guy. That all these public schools just look the same to you. Interesting.
I never said anything about public school. First off, my mother is a Chicago public school teacher for 33 years. So I've been an ardent supporter of public school.
Schools. That's crazy.
Well, no, I mean, Nebraska was a public school. Nothing private about Nebraska. How are you? How's Pinnacle Bank Championship?
Pinnacle Bank Championship is great. I'm out here spreading the good word of Haynes King to many of people and asking them if they watched the game last night. Many people have said no, which is totally fine because they're golf heads. They're not football people out here. The football heads were at home and they came to work late because they stayed up to watch Haynes King last night. The golf is fine.
It's okay. It's no comparison to Haynes, though.
No. I mean, Haynes King, the #1 underwear brand coming to America.
I was about to say.
But, yeah.
Have you put Y's on all your Haynes underwear?
No, I don't have any Haynes.
Fruit of the Loom? You're a Fruit of the Loom guy? Reebok?
I don't know. Can I check right now?
Yeah, go ahead and check. I'll check. I don't even know what mine is.
Everybody check. Everybody take about 10 seconds and check.
Yeah, the tag is in the back. Hold on. I'm
go
actually
ahead.
right next to a porta potty. I'm going to walk into this porta potty quick, and I'm going to look for you.
Yeah, I'm Haynes, actually. I'm Boxers.
I'm a Haynes man.
Yeah, I used to be
Can you tell the difference in the audio with me in the porta potty?
Actually, yes.
That's very funny.
I can hear the
Hopefully
echo.
no one's next to me.
Yeah.
That's actually very funny.
Yeah,
I get naked at the Pinnacle Bank Championship right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I want to know what brand you support.
Oh, I am wearing a Haynes King. Who would have thought?
I'm wearing Haynes Kings as well. Are you briefs or boxer briefs or boxers?
Well, I'm getting up there in age, Matt, and eventually I want to have kids, so I got to go with the boxer shorts. So I'm nothing tied up in here.
Oh, Yeah,
future little Jays will be running around.
Yeah, I guess I might be boxer shorts too. I used to be a briefs guy, and then as I've gotten older, I just kind of like the looseness of everything, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, let's just see if anyone. Oh, yep, the porta potty right next to me was occupied, so that's very
cool.
embarrassing. Someone heard that whole conversation.
Yeah, that's totally okay. I really hope somebody took a video of you doing a radio interview entering a porta potty.
Well, luckily, there's nowhere in the world that this will get posted or podcasted to, so I'm sure I'm safe.
I think you're totally okay. Have you eaten anything nice at the Pinnacle Bank Championship? What has your breakfast, lunch, and dinner look like?
Great question. So Hobby's Cantina has been great. It's open to the entire public. If people want to walk down, just get ground tickets and do that. Our Hurrdat Sports Pavilion has had some excellent gyros yesterday for lunch. Ooh. That was delish. Loved that. And then, of course, Pinnacle Bank Championship also has some name brand sponsors like Oscar's Pizza and Wings. And I love the pizza. I wish that they would have some wings out here. Oscar's Wings are some of my favorite in the entire city. So one of these days, they will bring wings down for me, and I will be a very, very happy boy.
Charbuff?
Oh, duh. I mean, you double char buff those things. Yeah, whatever you can do.
Have you ever been to End Zone in Lincoln? Have you been to that place?
I have not eaten as much in Lincoln as I need to, but no. So I have not. I need to get my palate a little bit further down in the capital city.
I mean, it'll only take you like 6 trips to really do it in the Haymarket,
Yeah.
You don't need to be down there too much to hit all the good spots, at least in the downtown area. I don't really know the surrounding areas of Lincoln too well.
Pizza guy?
Am I a what?
Are you a Yaya's pizza guy?
Yes, but I loved Yaya's when I was in college, but I've admittedly had way better pizza here in Omaha. But Yaya's was the place I ate at for pizza in Lincoln. Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm not disparaging anything. I did like Yaya's, but my fiance's family, being from south of Lincoln and a smaller community there, it's like namesake. Like they will bring it back down from work, and it was like the family meal. Like it was a big deal when Yaya's came in. But then this is also the same family that like celebrated at the door and waited on bated breath when Valentino's arrived as well. So I don't really know.
That is, I'm sorry. I laugh so hard at that just because it's just like, I've come from a different caliber. I just think that Yaya's.
It's like when you introduce the arrow to a foreign, island that hasn't seen. They only have spears. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah, this is incredible.
I never thought that something could be this good.
Yaya's was a little bit too thin for me, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Have you had that problem before? Too thin?
I've actually had the other problem of pizza being too thick. Like that's kind of why I'm not the biggest Detroit style pizza fan. I like Detroit style pizza, but it's a little bit too pan puffy for me. Yeah. I would say that I would name about 4 different places here in Omaha that cleared Yaya's. I think Paisan's being number 1. I think Paisan's is still my number 1 pizza here in Omaha for me personally.
There you go. Yeah,
and
that was a good episode.
Probably Dolomites, which is probably where we should record episode 3.
I've been there.
Oh, Dolomites is great. Dolomites is phenomenal. I'm trying to think of when you go. So
King question.
No, at End Zone they also do the the char buff wings. Like they also do the grilled wings. And if you get if you get sweltering, that was my go-to flavor. So if you ever eat at End Zone, go and eat there. That's a good little grilled wing. I haven't had Oscar's char buff wings though, unfortunately. So I have to try that out. Skip says Virtuoso. That's one of your favorite places, right? Or is it La Casa? Which one are you?
I'm Virtuoso. One of one, and it's a drive for me to get down to Benson to be able to go there. They're usually out of supply, but when I can make the trip, it's like well worth it. I mean, that's like my north star. I will try my hardest on my dying breath to crawl up to Benson and make sure that I'm going down all of those freaky one-ways and everything else that goes on down there just to make sure that I can get some Virtuoso at least like once a quarter. I do what I can to help support local business.
Sure. Yeah, I have to get there. I don't go to Benson as much as I should, honestly. But every time I pass through Benson, I'm like, wow, this is a very lively place. They've got a lot of very interesting restaurants and bars down there. All right, let's talk Husker football. You want to go? Want to do that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I view this training camp, this fall camp, as Matt Rhule's most important of his career. I think that you're a Carolina Panther fan and think that maybe the fall camp heading into his final season could be up there. But I think this one is of particular importance because I look across this Nebraska football roster and I don't know how many guys are on this roster where I go, you know what? If they play the same as they did last year, this year, if they play at the same level, they're going to be fine, right? I don't find too many of those players. There's a lot of players across the board that need to improve and need to get better. Now, I think it's a different conversation of how many players need to get better and will they get better. I think those are two different conversations. But when you look across this roster, right, do you kind of share that same sentiment in terms of there's a lot of player development to be done? And are you encouraged by anything that you've heard, you've seen, or maybe things you saw last season to think that a lot of players will take that jump that they need to take?
I like the attitude and the mentality that we had heard, especially Jameer Khan, just that very first day. He was one of the first, out of the main media room breakout session guys from what it looks like, just from, videos and all the different media conferences that were posted. I really liked what he had said just about that last month of the season. It's almost like the Dylan quote, right? Like it feels like you could take it so blatantly out of context. You're like, whoa, they didn't have a plan. And then he kind of reiterated, he was like, I'm not saying the coaches didn't have a plan. I'm saying we kind of checked out. We did not have that mentality, the right effort and everything to keep going forward. The point that you're, I think, asking is a little bit more on the personal player side, right? That who is getting better and how are they getting better and what jumps and leaps do they need to make to improve their personal games? I see it more as almost a position wide that I have to frankly just assume, but also I feel confident in the fact that the people that they brought in outside of the transfer names, just strictly on the coaching staff, I think will be a big difference maker. And I've always come back to this point as well, that I think Matt Rhule always likes to have his assistant coaches be the ones who take the least amount of credit, but the most amount of the brunt of the disappointment when something comes up. And I think that was a big issue last year because it was something that I think was said in either the press conference after John Butler was dismissed or a Sports Nightly that followed that with Matt Rhule, where he said, I don't like having coaches that, blame the players and say the players aren't good enough. I like to have coaches that try to solve the problem and never point the player in the wrong direction. For that perspective, I think that maybe too many times last year, and again, this is just me speaking without having been in a film room, having, broken down tape and all that other stuff, there may have been a lot of opportunities that the coaching staff and especially the assistant coaching staffs on the defensive side put players in the wrong positions too many times. And maybe it wasn't a skill issue. Maybe it was just a coaching issue. Maybe it was a lack of confidence. Maybe a scheme that was too complicated. Any of those, I think, could be kind of the difference maker and a differing factor into how you perceive how a player performed from last year. And I'll say this, and you know this too, when you're confident about something and you can speak about it in radio, in the classroom, in football, you can go 100 miles an hour on something that you feel 100% confident in. But if you have any hesitancy, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what your assignment is, you feel a little bit lack of control in the situation, you're naturally going to take a step backwards. It's hard to go 100 miles an hour when you're hesitant that you don't know where the curve of the road is coming to. I think Nebraska will feel a lot more confident, maybe because of simplicity of scheme, but probably more because they understand what their assignment and what their role and responsibility is. And for that, I think, just a long-winded answer to your question, that's why I feel confident that everything you said, maybe not, in my opinion, the most important training camp in Matt Rhule's career, but I think one that you could see the biggest leaps and bounds, especially on the defensive side, because a lot of those guys, I feel like, already are exuding a little bit more, we know what's going to happen, and now we can play with our hair on fire.
I think two mortal sins were committed on the defensive staff last year. The one that you mentioned, and this is something that Coach Rhule said all the time when I went to those press conferences. He said, don't tell me what the players can't do. He always, that's his go-to line. Don't tell me what the players can't do. He always said it. Every time he said it, he was very passionate about it. He really wanted you to know that's what he believed. And when John Butler gets up there and says, we need to get better players, for the D-line, I think that was mortal sin number one. And I think mortal sin number two, and I don't know if it's exclusive to Matt Rhule, I think it's just a mortal sin in coaching in general, is don't overlook opponents. Don't tell your guys like, oh, we got nothing to worry about, And he said it himself when it came to the Minnesota game, that there were assistant coaches who, like, why are we worrying so much about Minnesota, and he had to put them in their place and be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I think those sins, they were committed by guys that aren't there. and they've replaced those guys with, I think, dudes that they're confident in, that they have a lot of continuity with, but also with just the confidence of teaching and the confidence of developing players. And I think that is a pretty big difference between last season and this season, to your points. Like I find myself like you, where I have more confidence in the headsets this season than I did last season.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I mean, you've already heard it a little bit too. I thought it was pretty telling. And of course, I'm sticking mostly on the defensive side, but I thought it's pretty telling that a lot of the defensive players have already said, our install is kind of done. Like we're pretty much set in what we're going to be running, what we need to be learning about this new scheme and this new system. And if you remember that first year under Tony White, those first few weeks, a lot of times I remember Tony White went up there and he was like, we still have a ways to go. We still have some things to learn. And that defense played pretty well. So obviously he was a complex system, but it'll be interesting to see, because something tells me that Rob Orch's defense is not as simple as it's coming across, but maybe the simplicity per position or just per role or whatever your fit is in this scheme makes it simpler. And then it appears to be a lot more difficult for an offense when they're going against it. And, if you want to speak it just in layman's terms, maybe the best defense is one where every individual knows exactly what they're doing and the offense doesn't understand what each defensive player is doing.
Well, I mean, there were times where it's like they weren't set, like they weren't set.
Yeah.
Get set. There were moments where it's like there was a lack of communication, and it seemed like the backside of the defense was doing something completely uncomplimentary to the front side of the defense, and we talked about this with Jay Moore, where you either spill or you contain. And then the linebackers in the secondary, they do what the complementary piece is to what the D-line is doing. And especially in that Penn State game, they were doing opposites. So really sometimes it just boiled down to last season, like, guys, get in your spots and know what you're doing. And I do think, though, there's a massive advantage to new eyes. I think that they've had the same system for the last couple of years. I think there's a big advantage in terms of bringing in Orch, bringing in his guys, having a new set of eyes, and maybe finding things that maybe Nebraska's previous staff overlooked because they were so used to, what players they had, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think one Michael Zafir had tweeted this out earlier this week as well, that maybe some of that transitional defense and everything that comes into it is a part because Rob Orch brings people in that have worked under his system that know what he already wants, what he wants to get done. And especially at some of those positions where you have guys that play with their hair on fire, and Vincent Shavers and Owen Chambliss is there now to be able to kind of help you out. And the defensive backfield, no one was questioning that the defensive backs were talented, but were they always in the right fits? Were they in the right schemes? How many times did they feel like they were out of position for late breaking tackles that got away from them? That sort of stuff. Well, you bring in Dwayne McDougal and you've got guys like that who are able to make those positions, make you maybe understand a little bit more about what the responsibility or what the concept of this, where you fit into the role. I think it helps at all levels, and especially the defensive line. I mean, you're going to see, I think, the biggest leap from a year to this year in the defensive line, especially. And listen, I'm gonna keep pounding the table for Williams Nwaneri until maybe he leaves Nebraska. But in terms of guys that I've said this from the beginning, that I think in terms of anyone that walks off the bus and you just line up all of Nebraska and you say, okay, it's this guy's name, this is his position, this all this sort of stuff. If you look at Williams Nwaneri, I think a lot of teams across college football would be like, I might take a chance on that guy if he's my defensive lineman. So I think if he gets everything going, if he has that right mentality, if he understands his fit, who knows what his ceiling could be at Nebraska. But that's probably more for him to decide at this point, because all things considered, I think that everyone else on that defensive group is going to get better. So we'll see kind of where everyone's role ends up and who ends up becoming the linchpin of that group.
You watch tape. What do you think he needs to get better at? Is it the bend? Is it the get off? What is it?
I think, I don't watch too much of it necessarily, and I haven't specifically watched, of course, Williams, but I thought the most telling one that you can tell, I personally, is that the Michigan State game, he was just physically dominant, and it felt like a coming out game for him especially. But I don't think that he can take over every single game with just pure physical brute strength or just with, I'm better than you, I'm going to get by you, I'm going to get in your head all game, and it's over. I think that there were plenty of times where he maybe either was hesitant, didn't have secondary moves, or maybe just didn't understand where his fit was and became more of a rotational piece, and then just got not necessarily moved or washed out of the way, but I think that there were just too many times when he relied on, hey, I'm just going to be better than this guy, and that just wasn't going to cut it in the Big Ten, especially with the teams that they played last year.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what the D line looks like, because I mean this kind of defense in general gives me 2023 vibes, Austin. Gives me 2023 vibes where
I agree.
New DC, new system, his guys help implementing that system, new eyes on the product. And then there's another layer with when we went into 2023, it was, is Ty finally going to break out? Is Nash finally going to break out? These guys, like, we went into 2023 thinking the D line was going to be a weakness because we saw guys who had experience who didn't play as well as we thought they would when they got into the field, and then they exploded. I wonder, I'm curious if maybe that repeats again, that this same process, and maybe, is it unfair to ask, is maybe that's Matt Rhule's thinking, maybe hopefully thinking, hey, if this is what we did in 23, where we brought in a new DC and they were able to unlock something in the D line, with guys who had experience. Do you think that might be a part of the thought process here with Orich coming in and the D line needing to get better?
Well, I mean, then it would be the same process and thought process in 2025 too, because he did the same thing.
Yeah.
Not a new defensive name necessarily, but a different defensive scheme and also a new defensive line coach. So maybe that's just that is, if nothing else, you can just say straight up that is probably where he sees I can have the most success, not only just with this year's roster, the teams in past, but at Nebraska, is if my team relies on its defense and relies on its defensive line for us to win games and control games. And truthfully, this is something I talk with Robbie all the time about. Listen, if you decide that you want your program to be won in the trenches, more often than not, you're going to be a winning program. And obviously, you have to develop, you have to get those players right, they have to play well, all that sort of stuff. But teams, programs at any level, high school, middle school, NFL, Arena League, all that. If you decide that, hey, we're going to be built around excellent athletes and excellent, bulldozers and stop gates on the pass in the passing front on the offensive line and pass rushers on the defensive line, all that sort of stuff, you're usually set to win a couple of games just because you're going to be better in the trenches than another team is. And I think that's why Matt Rhule looks around the Big Ten and he says, this is why Minnesota's beaten us. This is why Iowa has beaten us. This is why other Big Ten teams have beaten us. So maybe it's time for us to take this as seriously as they do. Not saying he hasn't before, but I think it is one of those things that that's why he makes the changes. And I still applaud him for that a lot of people could have said, hey, you know what? The defensive line will get better under year 2 of Terry Braden. And, John Butler, there were a lot of things that went well for the defense, but it wasn't up to his standard. So he made dramatic changes. And I think a lot of people are excited about those changes because of the reasons why we just kind of laid out from the previous year.
I think that this team is closer to what he thought he would build when he first got here to Nebraska. I think this team it's closer to the original model that he wanted to build. And we'll see how it works, but there's a comfort in that for me because of that. I think this team can do some of the things he originally wanted to do, that he originally set out to do in terms of what they're going to look like on a Saturday. I think that looks closer to what he wanted when he first got here compared to what they've looked like the last 2 years. And that's part of the reason of who they had behind center, taking snaps. So we will see. We'll have all these types of conversations until they actually snap the football against Ohio in a couple of weeks. AJ, have fun at PBA championship, my man. Have a good time, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
The PBC championship, but yes, we'll have fun there too.
I appreciate you.
Yep. No problem. We'll see you later.
See ya. Austin Jacobsen, Herd at Sports. I get 23 vibes. And I get the vibe where he came in, he said, I wanted to run 75 yards in the fourth quarter, and we want to be a physical football team, and we want to be dynamic from the line of scrimmage. And, when he first got here and he didn't have the 5-star legacy commit, fall to him. When he first got here, he got a running quarterback. He got a dynamic quarterback. He got a dual threat quarterback. He wanted that type of play. He got it now in Anthony Calandria. When he got here, he brought in a DC who had his system, or who had that DC system, and he wanted that DC to implement his own system. He's now got it with Rob Orich. I think there are some very interesting similarities between the things he said he wanted to do in year 1 and the things he's doing now. And he got, they got a little bit away from it in 24 and 25 because they had to. They didn't have a running quarterback, right? But now I Now I think they're closer to that model, and I think his original model is one that could win in the Big Ten. We'll see if it happens. All right, balls coming up next year. Middays with Matt. balls, 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 balls. Everybody, balls, 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 balls. Everybody. Balls, 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 balls. Everybody, balls, 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 balls. Everybody. Balls.
That's how you radio.
All the baseballs. Ha! All of them. The good, the bad, the ugly. From Major League Baseball. By the way, go to the YouTube Zone TV YouTube page if you want to see a fun treat. We were getting down with the balls theme song. I have no stamina. I'm out of breath after that.
Gassed.
I'm like Jey Uso. The good, Josh Otson, the good.
The good, the Boston Red Sox. I would love to talk about your Cubs or
Are you
my
kidding
Braves
me?
here.
Oh, we win. Wait. We win 4 in a row.
Braves have won 8 in a row.
We win one of the best games I've seen at Wrigley Field in quite some time. Alex Bregman, I don't know if you'll have a better moment than that in Wrigley. That was insane. Nobody gets hits off of Louis Varland. Nobody hits a home run off that guy. That guy gets strikeouts and groundouts.
You had a walk-off.
Stolen base from the most electric player in all of baseball. And we're not the good?
No.
It's the Sox?
One of the best 35-game stretches in Major League Baseball history. They're 30-5.
Oh, my God. Holy crap.
Yeah. Last night, they trailed the White Sox 5 separate times before winning 12-11 in 13 innings. One of the longest regular season games in the pitch clock era, FYI, 4 hours, 23 minutes.
Holy Lord.
With a win today over the Athletics and a Yankees loss to the Braves, who have won 8 straight, the Boston Red Sox will be in second place in the AL East after being left for dead, firing their manager, and all that fun stuff.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, I remember when they fired Cora and people were like, wow, they fired him. They didn't even it's not like they're going to an experienced coach or anything like that. They're handing it over to a staff where you know that the quality of coaching, quality of managing more than likely is going to be lower. They rattle off these wins. Then they went for it into the deadline. Give them a ton of credit. Adley Rutschman had to make a big move for him. Willie Contreras, kind of thought his career was kind of going down just a little bit after he left Chicago to go to St. Louis. He's been one of the best hitters in the second half of the first half and now into the second half of the season for the Sox. He's been incredible. So, I don't like the Red Sox. I think I'm one of the very few people who hate the Red Sox more than I hate the Yankees.
Whoa.
I mean, the funny thing is that the Red Sox in my lifetime have been the winning team in the AL East. The team that's won all the titles in the AL East for a guy like me born in 2002 hasn't been the Yankees. It's been the Sox, right?
I hadn't
04, 07, 11, 12, right? Or sorry, 18. They are the big bad wolf of the AL East for people like me born in the 2000s. Haven't been your Yankees. They've been your Red Sox. I can't stand them at all. Remotely. Isn't that I see you trying to wrap your head around that.
I hadn't thought about that, but no, it makes sense the way you lay it out.
I can't stand him, but good for him, man. Good for him. I especially couldn't stand him after they fired Cora and then rehired Cora. That really brought, because I don't like Alex Cora. I don't like cheaters. And it is what it is, but 30-5, man, that's insane. Absolutely insane. What a run by them. The bad, I mean, sure, the Athletics have lost 8 in a row, but do they even matter? No, they don't. They don't. Let's talk Los Angeles Dodgers, who have dropped 6 in a row and head to second place Arizona this weekend. Since July 1st, the Dodgers have scored over 4 runs. They've averaged I wrote that wrong. They've averaged over just over 4 runs per game. That's 20th in Major League Baseball. Wow. They've only scored 4 runs or more 3 times in their last 11 games. 2 blown leads by the bullpen in the last 6 games. I have a theory. They're tanking this week on purpose because they know they've screwed over the entire sport. Yeah, I mean, they've been, one of the, if not the best team in baseball basically all year long. There have been times where it hasn't been as dominant as maybe you would think with the amount of money and just big names they have on the roster. it's baseball, like
yeah, baseball is happening.
Baseball's happening to the Dodgers. It's going to turn, right? I mean, if you're a good team with that amount of talent, you're going to figure it out. They also got to get healthy. They got a lot of guys that they're leaning on, when it comes to playoff time that are currently on the IL, and they'll eventually get some of those guys back. But if I'm a Dodgers fan, I don't think I need to tell any Dodgers fan this is not the time to hit the panic button. Yeah. But I'll just say it ain't the time to hit the panic button. They're going to be fine. They're going to be okay. They're going to be great.
Scooble was actually a need for them with their rotation.
And you know what? It actually, that's the thing too, like that I think gets overlooked. They needed an arm. Like they needed another guy where it's like, Shohei, he can't pitch right now, right? He's currently, he can't throw. And then you got Snell and you got Glasnow. They're not throwing. So like it's not like Scooble was a luxury that they didn't need to go and get. They needed to get him. And I still don't understand the Milwaukee not doing what they needed to do in order to put themselves in the best position to win a title. But like I said, screw them. Can't stand them. Glad they didn't do it. Who's your ugly?
The ugly is Paul Skeens, and not just because of how he normally looks, how he plays is ugly as of late too. He's an ugly man.
Yeah, but he's got the
I know it doesn't
opposite
matter.
of a significant other.
Real Beauty and the Beast situation they got going on.
Well, he's not really playing very beastie right now.
6.25 ERA over the month of July. I wrote June, but that can't be right. 7 earned runs over 4 innings pitched on July 31st. Many believe the cause of his poor performance is his rapidly dropping velocity. Average fastball this year, 97. Average fastball last year, 98.2. Average fastball his rookie season, 98.8. He has not thrown a pitch over 100 miles an hour this season after throwing over 100 pitches of that speed last year. He hasn't thrown a pitch over 98 miles an hour in his last 5 starts. This has made him human. This has made him hittable.
Yeah, it's one of those things as well where people have theorized on social media that, hey, he's trying to go longer in starts, which is part of the reason why his velocity has dropped. The problem is, though, is that if you get blown up, right, you're not going to go very long. His last 5 outings, he's thrown 5 innings, 4 innings, 5 1/3, 7 innings, 5 1/3. He's given up a total of, let's see, do math here, 16 earned runs in his last 5 starts. He's also given up 2 homers in those 5 starts as well. Let's go here. His strikeout per 9 last season was 10.4. Surprisingly, his strikeout per 9 this season is actually up 11.2. But like you mentioned, his ERA in his rookie year was 1.96. His ERA in his second year was 1.97. ERA this season is a whole 2 runs higher, 3.96 after that very bumpy July, as you mentioned. Not a baseball expert, but I know a lot of people who played college baseball. My closest friends played college baseball. One of them being a guy named Matt Solomon. He played at the University of Illinois, Northern Illinois. And Matty would tell me, he's like, look, I don't know long term. He always faded Skeens' career long term. And he would tell me, he's like, I just don't think the way that he throws and the velocity he throws is sustainable for a very long career. That's something, it's a take that a baseball guy I always trusted and knew had about Skeens, that he just never really bought that Paul could go an entire career without arm injuries or some sort of arm concern.
Right, absolutely.
And it's just because of the way he throws and the violence that he throws it with. And clearly, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, right? Hasn't thrown a pitch over 100 miles per hour this entire season. Definitely something to keep track of. I mean, this is a guy that we had heading into the season. Would the Pirates trade him for a boatload of prospects, and who, like, that was a big
or
MLB
ride him to a wild card berth?
Yeah, and now you know they're not even doing that, and he's been in poor form this month. But it's great for baseball. I'm rooting for him. I can't stand the Pittsburgh Pirates, but I root for great players in baseball. I root for those guys to have success because it's good for the game. I hope he turns it around. All right, take a break here. What's watch and dog of the day coming up next here on Middays with Matt.
Make room for Daddy!
Middays with Matt.
All right, J.O., what are we watching?
Oh, yeah. We're watching the 2026 2026 Pro Football.
Oh, yeah, very good, very good.
Hall of Fame.
Very good.
Enshrinement ceremony on ESPN NFL Network. And I think there's one more in there, but I forget. 11 a.m. tomorrow, Drew Brees, Roger Craig, congratulations.
Yes, go Huskers.
Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Adam Vinatieri. Baseball on our TVs tonight on Apple. Orioles, Rangers, Rays, Mariners. For some reason, the Athletics, Red Sox is on FS1 tomorrow at 3.
Dude, they've been putting the weirdest, least competitive outside of Dodgers Cubs. That was on Tuesday. Baseball games on national TV. Made no sense to me. Continue. I'm sorry.
Guards, White Sox on Big Fox tomorrow night. Sunday Night Baseball on NBC is Astros, Padres. WNBA, Vegas, Minnesota, noon tomorrow on CBS. Flip it over to ABC at 2:30 for Fever Sky. 11:30 Sunday on ABC. It is Aces Liberty. And then Wings Lynx on 2:30 on NBC on Sunday. And then Valkyrie Sparks, 6 o'clock on ESPN. And then your Little League Softball World Series comes to a close this weekend. Florida, Washington here in a couple minutes on ESPN. Winner plays North Carolina in the bracket championship tomorrow. Puerto Rico, the final international team standing. They'll take on New Jersey at 5 o'clock tonight. They play Kentucky in a bracket championship tomorrow. Championship game at 2 p.m. Sunday on ABC.
Plenty of people about to make their trip in the next couple of hours down to Kansas City to go and see the Chicago Cubs take on the Kansas City Royals. A hot ticket in town. So for those making the trip down there, be careful, have fun, stay safe. Kevin Gossman to make his debut for the Cubs tonight.
All right, folks, let's talk right now. I'm going to kill your bookmaker. I'm going to rip his throat out. I will blow this man out. I will step on his throat until the man chokes. Let me tell you how. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. I'm on a roll.
Dude, you got to love dogs, right?
Guy I've always been a fan of from a golfing perspective, Tom Kim, is currently playing in the Wyndham Championship right now. He's 1 under through 5 holes. He's currently 7 under on the tournament. 11. He's 4 back of the current leader, Benjamin James, who James today shot 3 under in day 2 of the Wyndham Championship. So let's go with Tom Kim to win it all, to win the Wyndham Championship. 2 under so far through 5 today. He's plus 1329 to win the Wyndham Championship. So that's our dog of the weekend, Tom Kim, to win the Wyndham Championship. We want to thank you so much for joining us this week. No, you're good. On Middays with Matt. Had a fun time with you guys. It was a great group of shows that we had a blast talking about a ton of football that will only continue as we get closer and closer to the start of college football and NFL season. J.O., you will be on vacation. Do not talk to me. Do not text me. Do not call me. I don't want to hear a word from you.
Same goes for all of you.
Expect a relaxed Josh Hodgson when he returns to these airwaves, which will be
Monday the 17th?
Hell
and
yeah,
brother. I'll have this big, huge honking ring on my finger.
Yes, the Reva rings are coming. We talked to our friend Travis. Apparently, they are ginormous.
Sunday.
So, cannot wait to see that. From Josh Hodgson, I'm Matt McMaster. Thank you so much for listening to Middays with Matt this weekend. We will see you and talk to you still during USC and the crossover, which is coming up next.